man, just drama. Phone tree, caught on a phone tree, and it's just like there's no escape, and you have to deal with it. And it's like, why am I here? And it's like one person screws up, you gotta talk to that person, and then you gotta talk to the other one, and then to deal with their screw up, you have to then like go through the individual phone trees of the two parties who are effing it up. So I did scream the F-bomb. That did happen. I did it loudly. I think in psychologist terms, it's called being dysregulated. So I became dysregulated. Okay? There was some dysregulation. Oh, truck score, you don't want to know. Just the tax people screwed it up. It's just unbelievable, the level of incompetence. And then dealing with their phone tree, dude. I still haven't dealt with it. In fact, they tell me, this is probably a lie, that I'm going to get a phone call in 20 minutes, and then I have to pause the stream to deal with it. That's what I'm dealing with. All right. So let's get into it. And the idea of this show is very simple. We are interested in the people who, I do kind of want to show it on the stream. It's going to screw it all up though. Okay, here, let's just move it over. So I'll just show it one time. So here we have, for example, 11 to 1200, and I'm going to change it actually because we want to start at 700 just to show you what the idea of the show is. So the idea of the show is that we want to look at the people who have done a lot of work and haven't graduated yet. I want to ask, like, well, why is it that they haven't graduated, right? Because in general, especially as you get close to being completely done with the cohort tasks, we want those people to be done. Now, the good news is, sometimes this is a classic case of good news where this person we're going to look at today, Iceman, he's at 797. So clearly, almost there. Perfect. Now, just to show what I do as let's call it my algorithm or the process, I will look at the person with the highest dojo score, but then if they haven't done anything in the last 7 days, I won't do anything. I'll just go down the list until I get some. And you can see there's a lot of people who are inactive. And in general, it's just a belief of mine that progress won't come unless you are consistently on it. So that's why I'm, let's say, looking at those people. I'm more interested in those people. Okay. I'm letting it go. I need to do some yoga, man, or something. I don't know. Some deep breathing. This is Iceman 412. This is pretty cool. Learning chess in retirement. Perfect mental exercise. Studying is fun. Losing not so much. I'm going to follow Iceman. Iceman's got a pretty good graph. And it's cool. You can see that Iceman has been with us for a couple months. And it seems maybe like Iceman probably had some times where they weren't playing so much, did a little spurts of playing. There's the Lee chess. So their normalized in Lee chess is much higher, but maybe they just don't do that often. And great, let's take a look deeper. Now let's go, when I go activity, now I'm going to switch the scene. So it's just a little bit cleaner here. Right. So let's go here, and I go here. Oh, darn it, I didn't mean to do that. I could do that, but let's do a little bit of expando there. Okay. So here you see Iceman's graph, pie chart. And most of the time, a lot of time spent on game analysis. So I'm sure we'll see one or two games that are really interesting. A couple things I want to mention. Now that the program is mostly established, both in terms of what it is and the technological aspect of it, we're still going to be working on it. Every year we'll be like improving it. But now that it's kind of dialed in, I especially am into the idea that if somebody wants one of the senseis to go do a deep dive, kind of like what I'm doing now, on a person, then maybe we can set up some kind of way to make that happen. Maybe some kind of, you pay a little bit, or I don't know. But if people want that, then we could set that up. In the graduate show, I feel like there's always like 20 people, and so I don't feel like I really have the time to go deep on every single person. And I know, like, if I was in the program, I would want not only a coach to be looking at my games, and that coach can, of course, be outside the program, but it might be cool to have somebody come in and just talk through the stuff that I'm doing, Now, one more thing. Something we have to dial in regards to this show is some cohort points are easier to come by than others. I saw a hilarious thing in the Discord about the endgame Rex being easier to achieve. And then in my cohort with the openings, we have to really redo our openings because they're just a disaster, where Pruess allowed it to be changed into a blitz game, and then it's like worth a point for a blitz game, and that just can't be. A point at the lower cohorts should take about an hour, and then about an hour of work, and then at the higher cohorts, let's say 2 hours. But just my rough experience with how those points go. Some we deliberately, let's say, upvalued. For example, we upvalued the value of a postmortem. Postmortem usually is only a half an hour, but we thought that was so valuable that we wanted to give a full point for that. We also upvalued like going over the game with a minus, or having someone a plus go over it. We also upvalued that just because that was so central to the program. Okay, so let's click around a little bit. Tactics, that's looking good. Even done a couple mates in 2. Great. And everyone's first chess workbook. People have really been slamming that. That's great. And then master games of study. Okay. And then probably an algorithm. Fine. And then we click here. Oh, that's pretty good. Just a little bit of the blunder games. Cohort games, postmortems. Dude, this guy's doing great. I do think, well, we'll see how I feel after looking at the games, but my guess is that hanging stuff is going to be the main thing holding Iceman back. And so for that, the blunder games are a useful practice. All right, let's go to the games. We got several. Nice 17 games. One of them very recent. So let's take a look. I'll at least look at one game, maybe 2. Oh, great. So thank you, Black, for not resigning after losing his queen. So you're doing great. This feels wrong. It definitely is wrong. So one thing we should say is you will be playing this kind of mistake often, where they're giving you time, right? And when they give you time, you want to take advantage of it. Your next move, d4, is great. I also think you're probably winning with this trick. It's kind of a useful trick to know about. I guess g6, you do the old forkaroo. King e7 takes here. Maybe it's kind of complicated. Maybe, but it's looking pretty. I don't know. It's complicated. Looks good for you though. Okay, so d4, bishop d6. Again, a weird move because the bishop is in the way of the d pawn. Now you do this. Now, one thing I want to stress: when you face opponents that don't develop their stuff, that's the time to look for tactical opportunities. So, for example, right here, you'd be winning instantly with takes. So we're hitting the bishop. This means that there are only reasonable moves to take with the bishop. And now it's cool that I showed you that trick just a second ago, because now we have an advanced version of it. You're winning, things are happening here. And your lead in development is still going on. Okay. So bishop e3, by the way, I'm always happy if you're just following the principles. Bishop b4, again, breaking the principles. Good. And now you castle. You could win a pawn immediately like this. Boom. Okay, and now the guy hangs his queen. All right. Now, the game should, of course, be over fairly soon. And by the way, you have played. One of the great things about the way this went is, even though you miss some opportunities, by following the opening principles, you got a winning game, even if they hadn't dropped their queen, right? Notice as well, and I just saw some games we have the times, others we don't. Here you guys can see the times. Iceman's doing good time management. His opponent looks like a typical online player who is probably distracted, playing the game as if it's a blitz game, hanging their queen. So for example, this move, we'll see how long they thought. They actually thought for 2 minutes. Their biggest thing was hanging their queen there. Okay. So here we go. I definitely think knight e5 can't be a mistake, right? Fine. You don't need to deal with the bishop. Take the free stuff. d6. And now this is a mistake, a3. And so here we go. The key part of your improvement you should think of as the getting and taking of stuff, not giving it away. So with a3, you are going to be losing a piece, right? So because we don't want to lose a piece, and I think what's weird is you blame it on this move, right? No, it's this move. You could move the knight anywhere, and you're fine. You're continue to be up a piece. And of course, especially where you are at in your chess development, thinking of the game in a way where a good just overall strategy is, I'm going to take my opponent's stuff, then I'm going to trade down, and then I'm going to mate him with like a bunch of extra material. That's a good game plan that applies, let's say, to 90% of the games you're going to play, right? So the more flashy way to win this would be knight f7. But again, because you're threatening all kinds of stuff. But you don't really need that in the sense just move your knight back. Most importantly, though, now you lost a piece. Queen f3. Check, good. Boom. Knight d7, you're coming in with the queen. That all looks reasonable. I would have preferred, okay, I understand. You're holding on to your pawn. I don't have any problem. Okay, now it's getting a little creaky over there with the knights. Boom. Okay. It's hard to contain this lady. Trying to free up my bishop from pawn duty. Okay. Now, I think a good way of thinking about the position is just like black is completely tied up, and you just need to bring some pieces to bear onto your opponent. So bishop c4 looks good, f4 looks good. Get your pieces closer to the king. Makes no sense. Good move. Makes no sense. f5. Good move. Mostly because you're breaking open the black king's position. Boom. Good move. Solid play. Okay. Fine. Rook A, E1 looks good too. Good move. No, this is all great. Let's pin that knight. There you go, Bows. Let's play bishop G6. Fine. Even better. What are you talking about? And now it's a yard sale for this guy. Oh, look at this. Okay. So, Iceman, let's just say I really like that you feel like you've observed and absorbed the principles of opening development, and that will serve you well on your journey after we get out of the phase of the game where the main challenge is you hanging stuff, right? And honestly, you didn't do it too badly. Okay, let's look at one more game from Iceman. All right, Iceman is playing over here. And also looks like a game 60. And it looks like these are probably just played online with people, the random opponents. Okay. Now, let's just talk for a second. I love that you are focused on development. And what we should just note about the move bishop d3 is that you are getting in the way of this pawn. So it is a little funky in that way. Losing time. What are they going to give you? They're going to give you time. Okay. Good. Fancy. Now, this was fancy, but what we have to, that was interesting. That was very clever, honestly. Now, if you've got that level of clever in you, you know, you're on your way. Bishop d6, h3. Good that you didn't get mated. Queen g4. Lost my lead in development, threatening the g7 pawn. Okay. And that's a spicy move. Because now the black king will have its own troubles. So, we have ourselves an interesting position. And the thing I would want you to sense here is that your knight needs improvement. And it kind of feels like you do sense that because in this position you play knight c5. And black plays, to my mind, a weak move now with rook a b8. Definitely more dynamic would be rook a d8, threatening bishop h2. So passive. You protect the knight, okay. Let's mention knight e4 as being annoying. This way you're touching this coconut, this coconut, this coconut, and if this coconut moves here, you have at least queen c5, which would be annoying. e4. Okay, guys, I think I have to take this call. The dreaded people. If this goes up on our second YouTube channel, maybe somebody could edit this part out. I don't know. So, right, queen h3 would have been a real hassle in the castle, as they say. Rook h8. What are you doing, bud? What are you doing? We should say about rook h8, it's a great example of how a lot of people think that I'm full of it when I say that people don't give away time. But that's the clearest example you've ever seen. Rook h8. Time exists not only in the opening, it exists in the middle game. Good move. Good move. And now you should have several good moves. I like that one. I like that one. And now you went here. Thought I could shift over to a3, but didn't give me the time. Failed to see queen a5. And in general, let's just say beyond queen a5, in this position, you definitely don't want to trade queens, right? You know, you can take this bad boy, you got this check, you could just, even if you just retreated, you're totally killing this chump because they forgot The time was important. Oh. So again, to have a winning position, you just need to move the queen to, say, e3. Your force count against the black king is too high. They will not survive. Now, let me tell you something that's common. When we get to this endgame-ish phase, what we often see is people making zero notes on their moves here, right? And that generally reflects that they weren't thinking too much during their games. And as I really stressed in this latest podcast we did about the end game, this is a key place for you to learn how to play the end game. Okay, it's precisely like, what were you trying to do with c4? How else could you have improved your pieces, right? Moves like king f1 come to mind. King f1 comes to mind. Okay, now black is getting a little frisky, honestly. All right, don't like it, bring your king in. Now here we go. This is very common too, that first of all, you're now in this bizarre situation where you must go into a pawn endgame. And black took it. Now, I'm going to go ahead and venture that black doesn't know if they're winning here. And I'm not sure off the top of my head either, but I do know that black's position in here is better because they've got the better king, they've got the better bishop. Okay? So they go for it. Bad move, waste of time. Okay. Interesting. Now, the key question for our analysis should be, what about black playing e4? And then can we analyze that out? Right? Okay, so c5 makes no sense. Let's see what you did. You took here. Nah. You could also play pop, and that looks pretty drawish to me. But this would be a great thing for you to analyze, Great thing for you to analyze. That will teach you stuff about the endgames. And notice the despondency up here. Pawn endgame. My king is too far away. There was all kinds of things happening, Baus. And now he plays a6. Another point that's really interesting. I think black will be winning if they go like this. This is called the outside pass pawn. And this is generally going to be winning for black because they will win this pawn and your king has to go run to fetch that dude. And then when this dude catches this one and the white catches the other pawn, we will then be much closer to then go snipping these guys back. So a6, mistake. I have run out of waiting moves. Advantage black. Now let me tell you something else. It's not an advantage. It's somebody's winning. Somebody's winning. It's not just some advantage. Okay, you played king d3 and they found a good move in f4. Let's go a little deeper. This is the kind of thing we would want you to do. And you do actually a good job here. g4. We could talk about hg. c4. See, you did all this analysis. It would be great if there was some more variations. It looks to me like you kind of discovered on your own that maybe it wasn't so simple. Right? Okay, so that's how you lost it. So a couple things I really want to stress. If you annotate the endgames, this, by the way, this is not just a hello?
Sorry, thank you so much for holding.
Chess Dojo. Oh, I know the mic was open, dude. I know. I wanted you to share in my suffering. I wanted you to share in my suffering, dude. The incompetence of what I'm dealing with here, dude. It's next level. It's just next level. And I was having a really good day, dude. I was having just one of those great days. Everything was kind of coming together, dude. And then dealing with the phone tree. I'm still on it. I'm still on it, dude. I'm still on it. This lady, it's unbelievable what I'm dealing with. TurboTax failure, IRS failure, and I'm just stuck in the middle of two idiots, dude. Oh, let it go, let it go. Call centers are the worst, dude. She probably is watching the stream, dude. Bows. Let it go. Let it go. All right, let's get back to it. This is far more enjoyable. So, Iceman, a couple quick things. I think the blunder games are going to be important for you to focus on not losing stuff. And you're doing great with the development. That's going to carry forward. Notice that we have the ability then to think about the end game. Like, notice that variation here on this board, very concrete. It's an example where you can practice doing longer thinking. I mean like a longer series of moves. Pawn games are precisely the place where you get really long series of moves. Okay. Sorry for bad day, boss. That's right. She was watching the stream. Oh, man. Okay, let's go back, and we're going to then go to the scoreboard. She's still going to be on me, dude. I don't even know what for. It's just the rage that I have. And then I'm not done with it, dude. I'm not done. I'm not even close to done with the BS that I'm dealing with. All right, now we're going to deal with Think and Act Beyond. Okay, cool. Check this out. U.S. Army veteran, chairmaker, scout leader, lifelong learner. Learn and master new skills. Okay, cool. This is great, dude. I think I'm definitely looked at Think and Act Beyond before. Might have actually been another top of the cohort show. There we go. Activity. And that's looking great. That's looking great. Let's see here. Polgar mates in 2. I'm loving it. Okay. Learn chess the right way. We're getting up there. End games. Okay, great. So let's check out a game here. And I believe I actually have done a top of the cohort with Think and Act Beyond, but that's okay. So I feel like even recognize that. Is it possible I recognize that game? Let's see. Now, let's just see if I recognize it first before we go deep on it. This is all fine. Now, a key problem for Think and Act Beyond is that he's doing this aggressive. He's studying some openings. Studying some openings. Shouldn't be studying openings. Okay, but you guys don't know my rant already here. Okay. Pawn A3. That's no good. So here's what we're talking about. The openings need to stop until you stop hanging pieces, right? And we tell you when to do that, which is really around 1200, right? You don't really even need it at 1200 either, but we're just saying, like, do not even consider studying openings until you're 1200. So A3 definitely needs a question mark, and the aggressive repertoire says you go here, here, and here with a very interesting position for white. Makes sense. We're not losing any time, right? So, key mistake, and now we're toast. But okay, we might have some practical chances. Poor move. Not really developing, putting the knight on the edge, and losing the e5 pawn. We should definitely take the pawn. right? Now, yeah, black might have all kinds of things, but we still want, if they're going to give us a pawn, we're going to take the pawn. A little fancy. Check. Okay. So maybe what we should say about what black has done is it's probably technically correct, but it's very dangerous because now black has opened up the lines towards the king. And then this is a key mistake where you get this beautiful rook move. And right now you could have played bishop takes b6 as you note in your notes. Now knight takes e5, I still like your position a lot, but bishop takes b6 is so soul crushing for black, man. That's like the real deal. That's the real deal. Now that's a very clever move. Bishop b5. I don't know how much of this they saw. Like, did they really see that on rook takes this was happening? The fact that they didn't see other things like this suggests maybe they didn't. At this point, I could see the end of the game coming, so I decided to go all out. By the way, I don't know if I see the end of the game coming. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Like, let's say we snip this coconut, and the king goes here, and then we snip this coconut. Why is the end of the game coming? I don't know. It's just not clear to me that the end of the game has arisen. No, no, no. Not at all clear. All right. So, go back, pop, pop. Oh, gosh. Chess Dojo Training Program was built around 3 principles. The first is that to improve at anything, you need a structure and a plan to follow, something you can trust. And so at the dojo, we have material, whether you're an absolute beginner or you're a grandmaster, we have the appropriate material to get you to the next level. The second principle is something that also can be used to learn anything, and that's called the principle of plus minus equal, that you need somebody above you, an equal, and somebody below you. And in terms of the dojo, what that means is above you, you will have the senseis and other higher rated players who will give you insight and critique maybe on your games. But at a deeper level, the program itself is the plus that you have to give some measure of authority to follow the program. Your equal is your cohort. These are the people with whom you are going to spar out positions, you're going to discuss books, you're going to play against, you're going to have postmortems. It's a very rich community. And then finally, and this is very important, you need a minus, and this is somebody to whom you can explain your ideas. And only when you can explain your ideas to somebody who doesn't get them yet, have you truly understood those ideas yourself. The third principle is very chess specific. All right, my friends, I am done. I'm done with those people. I'm absolutely done. The game is going over now. I played last week against another dojo member. Cool. Cool. Okay, so let's go back. And, I'm finally done with that telephone call. That was so nasty. So let's go then to the next cohort up, which I believe is 900 to 1,000. And then again, actually you guys can't see it, but the top person is Mudla, but Mudla hasn't been active in the last 7 days. So next up here is our Boria, who has graduated several times. I'm going to follow Boria here. And you can see that is a great graph. And one of the cool things too that happened early on in the show is we're at somebody who's done a lot of work, and the good news is they are very close to graduating, right? Very close to graduating. One of the reasons Boria might also be close is, we can look into this, is some of the stuff, like if you've been in the program for a while like Boria has, there will be some stuff that carries over. So, for example, if you did a large chunk of, say, the mate in twos, you don't have to start over with the mate in twos. There will be new mate in twos added, but you'll be able to count that first bit of the mate in twos into your next progress, right? Pepper Chess, I don't have the screen. Well, it looks, I can move it, but now I think it's okay, right? I have it with the cohort thing. I get it. It's different. It's a different thing. And if I want to look deeply at the scoreboard, I do have to adjust it. So let's look at the training plan, first of all. You can see very close. Actually, this is misleading. Oh, stupid. So this number is misleading because it says graduation, and it shouldn't say graduation because you graduate not based on points, but you graduate on rating, right? And I think this encourages a common misunderstanding that we have, that you're graduating when you do like all of the requirements. So that needs to say something else. Yeah, that's right, Chuck Score. It gets difficult after 1471. Okay, so let's look at the activity. Beautiful. And yeah, this is well done. And let's click on the tactics. Great. Large chunk of main twos. Great. And I assume that's an algorithm, right? It's Arboria. And there we go. Now, as usual, even though we're a little bit higher now in rating, my gut, my general guess as to what's holding them back is hanging stuff. So a good feature for Boria to focus on to get to the next levels, to focus on the blunder games, just playing games at like 15-minute time control where you're just looking not to hang stuff. Just don't hang. And then after the game, don't do like a full review, but just review it with the aim of like, where did I drop stuff? Where did my opponent drop stuff? All right, let's take a look. So here we go. This was played fairly recently. Looks like it's a game 45 plus 45. Solid, simple chess. Okay, let's take a look. A little bit weird. Okay, good. You're doing great. The idea was to prevent bishop g4. Sorry, Jesse. You should feel bad. Okay. Now, it isn't the worst thing to play h3, but it does break the principles. And, this position is interesting because there's a lot of factors going on that we want to think about. So, for example, black's obviously down in time, and when we play h3, we lose some of that time. But also we should say that the virtue of black's position is very stable with this pawn chain and point on e5, and that the c6 pawn is dominating the knight on c3. So, it's not a simple task to figure out how to play the position here, and a lot of times you might have to or want to spend a developing move. Spend a developing move on a pawn move. If I was going to make a pawn move here, it would actually be the move a4, which might look silly, but b5 is a reasonable thing for black to play because it will come with the threat, and a4 would also allow us to develop the bishop on to c4 securely, where I think we should say that's its most active square. All right, so let's look. h3. Okay, you're developing. I like it. Knight e2. Knight e2 is actually a kind of highfalutin idea. Let's see what they write. I considered rook e1, but I opted to move the knight to e2 to be able to play c3 and have the possibility of developing the queen with queen b3. Also, I was planning an attack on the king side, so the idea was to play knight g3 on the next move, thinking that f5 would be a good spot for my knight later on in the game. Great! Oh, that's really good. You should be very happy with this move, knight e2. Now, the thing to really say about knight e2 is that I guess my dream statement for knight e2 would be my knight on c3 was bad because the knight pawn on c6, so I am rerouting the knight, right? But you're absolutely right that you're going to get a very nice setup here. Let me just share. I recently had a game against GM Enrico Saviano, and it went like this. And he played c6, and then I instantly, let's say, instituted your plan, and the game continued here. Might be getting the move order wrong, but roughly like this. Yeah, this is how the game went. And you can see that it's a very nice setup where I think what we can say white has a clear advantage. The game is just beginning, okay? The game is just beginning, but from, let's say, an objective point of view, we definitely have an advantage. Okay, so bishop e3. Good move. Good move. Good move. Oh, very harmonious. And yeah, I think white should feel good, especially like an under 1,000 level, playing this natural and beautiful setup. Let me read what he says. The idea was to protect the d pawn and thus the control of the center while making room for my queen. Okay, good. Now, my dream statement in regards to that would be, by protecting the d4 pawn, I am inhibiting this knight. And that knight is the thing that is crushing black's position because it's in the way of the bishop, in the way of the knight, in the way of the queen, in the way of the rook, in the way of everybody, right? Let me move this over. I'm going to satisfy some people here. I want to give some people some satisfaction. Let's move it over a little bit so we can see. See, I can't. Okay. That's probably good enough, but let's just make it clean. No, see, I can't make it. It's very difficult to make it all the way clean, if you know what I mean. Let's see if I can go down a little bit. Okay, that's good. All right. So, Pruess might be available in a little bit. We might do some sparring or something. So I'm just going to write him here. Cool. Zoom me whenever. You can also help with the show, exclamation point. So, here we go. Beautiful play so far. G6 also a very, let's call it a mature move from black. And now it gets kind of hard to know what to do. He plays rook c1. Probably queen d2 or rook e1 were better moves, but I wanted to place my rook staring into the black queen to diminish the probability of my opponent disrupting the center with c5. Okay. So, this is indeed a position where we can call it maybe an old Indian kind of position, where it is hard, even though we're going to, like, objectively, white has this nice space advantage, it can be hard to know what to do. Now, I think rook c1 is a little abstract, right? And you should actually be hoping for black to make some kind of jerky motion in the king side because they aren't developed. So in general, we should expect that any jerky motion by black should result in us having the advantage. So I think rook e1 is never bad, and I like a4 as well. a4 gives black the question, are you afraid of a5? A little weird. I'm going to go and say very weird. They shouldn't be touching their business over there. Now notice we now have some interesting thoughts. And now you make a very spicy move that at least ideologically, I'm in favor of. Knight h2. Let's read what you write. The h-pawn was guarded by the king, but my opponent's position seemed pretty unsafe because I had 4 developed pieces aiming to the king's side, which defense had been diminished by the pawn moves and the necessity of defending with the king. Also, my pieces were more active. Great. Yeah. This is beautiful. Knight h2. Brilliant. We're looking to hurt him. Yeah. Notice too what kind of interesting is that you didn't have a plan here, but the second black played over here, your senses went off and said, uh-oh, now it's time for me to play. And now you were like, yeah, let's go. And this is a great plan. This is a great plan. And black, I think now, needs to think strongly, can I do something while the knight is away? And the answer is probably no, but if I was black, I would at least consider this move to try to say, oh, your knight's away, now maybe I can do something in the king's side. So that might be just an interesting variation for us to look at, or you to look at. But let's look at what happened, because that's textbook. And what I really like about it is you're just saying, Baus, my rook on f1 wants to play. b5. Black's like, yeah, I don't have to worry about nothing. I don't have to worry about nothing. And now you need to make a choice. Yeah. You take, and unless we have a super follow-up, I don't like it to take. Because, when I say take, I mean this move here. Because black isn't doing anything, and remember, this, what I wanted us to say earlier on, we were going to say that the point of this move is to keep that bad boy there, to keep this guy firmly on lockdown. And so in general, taking the pawn in e5 is a poor move. Further, if you want to play f5, I'm not sure f5 is our best move, but let's say you want to play f5, you could do it right now too, right? Now, it is a fascinating question. Well, what is it that we should do here? One move I would be tempted by would be h4, asking black, how do you feel about h5? You know, and then really, d5 probably ain't ever going to work, boss, because then this, we're just getting ripped open. In fact, was I talking about, yeah, there's no more f5s, d5s anyway after f4 is on the board, right? That's all over. So I think h4 would be a nice move. Harry the h-pawn. Okay, snip, snap, f5, and your opponent plays g5. And now you kind of switch over here. So let's say that unless we're going to do something a little bit frisky on the king side, but then we didn't want to play f5. Right? So, I think the natural continuation for you here you got a couple actually. Bringing the knight, first of all, bringing that thing back can't be a bad move. Because here you have two things that you're asking black. You're asking, are you worried about bishop g5? And are you worried about h4? Also, we're just saying, Baus, my knight needs to come back. They can't be hanging out on h2 forever, right? The other one is you could say to yourself, oh, it was kind of weird that I put my rook on c1, but now it makes some sense. Now I might play that move, right? And the idea is simple. I want to activate my rook and my bishop over here. If that's a great move, c4, and then you're on top. So c4, great move. Notice too, like originally when you played rook c4, c1, I wasn't really thinking about c4, but of course in this position it makes a lot of sense. Okay. Oh my gosh. What is that sound? There's some sound going on. It's been going on for a while. Where does it come from? What? Where is it coming from, Bows? Oh, okay. I got rid of it. So, God, the drama today. Bows. Oh, it's just killing. I'm just suffering on so many levels today. Whew. Man. Okay. You're calling me. He says he's calling me. Maybe that was the thing that's going on. Boss, how you doing, man?
Hey.
Speak a little louder just so I can make sure people can hear you.
Okay. Does it not sound loud right now?
No, it sounds pretty muted. Maybe that's my own business, though. Hold on. Let's try again. Try again.
Hello, hello.
Yeah, you sound fine.
Okay, good.
Dude, I had a rough day, man. I have a memory, Pruess, of you being on the phone with the IRS circa like 2009 and just being on their phone tree forever. Anyways, I had that day, dude. I had that
Oh,
day.
no.
Yeah, it's just like,
no.
oh my gosh, dude. It's just like never-ending phone tree. Yeah. Okay.
That's rough.
Yeah, but I'm trying to do some breathing exercises.
Yeah. I have the kids vomiting and stuff here at home. Been a lot of cleanup on aisle 3.
That sounds fun, dude. Sounds fun. Clean up on aisle 3.
But yesterday I went to my first French league match and I played, so
How did it go, dude? Who did you play?
yesterday was a truly good day. I played some dude. I don't know. I think I lost the score sheet on the way home, so I may never know.
Oh my gosh, dude. Like a strong player, weak player? What are we dealing with?
I don't know. He was about as strong as me.
Oh yeah? Okay. And how did it go, dog?
I won.
Okay, nice, dude.
It was slightly less strong, I guess.
That's great, dude. But the score sheet, I hope you at least remember the moves.
I do.
Okay.
I mean, I played the game. I can remember the moves for like a few minutes.
Yeah. And so super cool. Did your team win?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Was there just frivolity and gaiety? Did you guys travel there? What was it like?
The match was like was a home match for my team, but my team is just a bit over an hour away from me.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to get over there. And yeah, everybody was like, it was my first time meeting the team. So they were all, friendly introductions, and then we played the games, and then I did a postmortem with my opponent for an hour. He was really nice, and then I left.
Okay, wow.
We didn't really have like a team party.
Yeah. That's great, dude. Well, listen, I'm open to doing whatever, but let me tell you my little dream for us. We could do a couple of these together. Basically, it's the top of the cohort show, and then maybe we could do some sparring or whatever you want to do after that.
Yeah. I can play along with that.
Now, I might try to grab your video in a second. We're dealing with a Discord call, which is usually a little bit more hard to deal with than the Zoom, because Kostya won't help us fix our Zoom. Our Zoom, me and David got kicked off the Zoom, man. Right? Something happened there. We don't know.
He's helped us too many times. But
He's helped us too many times. Like he's done. He's done helping us, man. It's enough. Okay. Now you can see this, what I'm looking at here, right?
yeah.
Okay. So actually, let me. We're look at this, David. We're playing a game at the 900 to 1,000 cohort, and look at what this dude does. This dojo member. Look at the setup he comes up with. Check this out. He goes here, and then star move 92. Ooh, that's positional knowledge, my friend. That's definitely over 1,000 level skill. You know. Rook C1 was a little weird, but now he takes it to the top. I said that this was glorious, this position,
Yeah.
and
Or-
F5, knight F3. I didn't like this take, but his
Yeah,
position.
I thought here you were saying H4, H5.
Yeah, but here I was looking at it. It was like his Rook C1 move was weird, but here C4 would it would kill, it would slay. There's no defense after C4. You know. Okay, so B4 a little weird.
I mean, what I was noticing is like he had an advantage towards the king side, but the way he or she or they, I don't know who this player is, but the way this player advanced on the king side got kind of locked up, and their space advantage on the king side is not a super relevant factor anymore after D takes E5 F5. So I don't really like the D E5 F5 continuation. To me, it sort of spoils the area where we should have the advantage. If there isn't a follow-up with H4 or bishop takes G5 or something, then I don't know why we're doing it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. But his position was actually so good that even here C4 would still be a stutter.
And even here C4 would have been great. I feel like the rook on C1 was kind of preventing black from playing E takes D4.
Yeah, I don't know if black wanted to do that, but yeah, that was also his intention too. He stated that.
Yeah, so in that case, there was no need to trade the D pawn. Unless it's to play C4, I guess, as you pointed out. It's like the one use of it.
Now, loss of time. C4, exclam. Queen D8.
They must have played B4 because they didn't want C4, B4 from black, right?
Well, I don't know.
But
We
that
could just
would've
take the pawn.
been a free pawn. Yeah.
Okay, Queen C3 is a little weird. Because your queen is kind of cool. Now, there is a difference in this position than the last C4 because here we don't instantly get our rook or our bishop free. Our bishop on D3 in particular. And here we're going to get a maneuvering question of what to do next. And let me just admit, I like White's position a lot, but I don't know like just immediately what we should do either.
Right. There's a couple options. Like one is you could play C takes B5 right here, just opening up another file. But, you know, if we have no way to impede black from playing bishop B7, rook C8, it's not too amazing. We could go...
We can always bring our knight back.
Yeah. We could associate it with playing quickly bishop C2, B3. Or we could play the more flexible move, rook FD1 to start with. That would be my obvious move here. And yeah, you can play knight F3 at some point, but it's not super impactful yet. I would play rook D1.
Another kind of fun move here would be pop, A4 with the intention that BA, we at least free our bishop. And this could be really annoying if we imagine queen E7. We could do other things, but queen A2 is an example of a follow-up. Okay, let's look at the game. Queen C3.
Yeah.
FD1, David's move. And then El Big Ol' Blocko. Okay, now we're playing for space.
Might almost have too much space.
Black loses time, doesn't know what they're doing. Fine. Rook A2. Let's read what he says. My opponent wanted to make an aggressive move, but this wasn't a correct idea as it allowed for a tactical move for white. Yeah, very good. Bang! This, by the way, to me is an example, David, of what's sometimes called by more advanced GMs than me the offsides piece, right? It
Mm-hmm.
looks like it's an opportunistic piece, and it has no friends though, so it really is like offsides.
Yeah.
And then this one is just that's what happens. The offsides piece, it just becomes a victim.
Yeah. I've had that happen to me.
And now, not only, well, now the big problem is the queen. She's just too angry. She was going to be too angry anyway.
Yeah.
I don't think there was any saving it. And
I
now,
think a useful move for black at some point, given that black was just moving back and forth, would have been king to g8.
sure. After rook a2, though, that was no longer possible.
Yeah.
And now we get a big thumper here, David. Look at this one. Bam! Thumper, thumper.
Something's
My
going
name is
on.
Jumper. Is it highfalutin? It looks fancy.
I tried to do that in my game.
Oh, this is great chess. Look at this. This looks good. Definitely looks good. Check to the miserable. Check to the miserable. Dang! Dude, David, this is somebody.
Chad,
This
is
is
that 900, Jesse?
a 900, bro. These 900s these days, dude. They're not playing. They ain't playing no more, boss. They ain't playing around no
This is like
more.
an 1800 minimum.
Welcome to the dojo.
Yeah, that's insane. Just absolutely impossible.
So we saw like maybe
No, I'm sorry. Knight takes g5,
Yeah.
and then bishop g5, knight
Yeah.
h5, bishop c4,
Dude.
rook d7. I mean, kidding.
slaying, dude, slaying. So really, like the critiques. Let me just put it this way: the critiques I'd have in this game would be more for, let's say, an 1800 level player, somebody who maybe there's a couple maneuvering stuff that you got wrong. But in general, getting out of the 1000 is about not hanging stuff. And you didn't hang. I don't think you hung anything. And you found that rook a2 was definitely a mistake. Man, that was chess. And then your follow-up, bang, bang. Now you're talking about maybe bishop g5 being stronger than knight g5, maybe, but what you did was certainly good enough. Dang. Dang, David. Well, okay, so this guy, by the way, he's very close. He is very close to getting to the next level. Oh, and David, let me show you something we have to fix. See this over here? It says graduation, but that's very misleading because then it implies like you graduate when you get the cohort points and not when you get the rating. So we have to fix that.
So what is that? It should say like program, but program is 47% complete. So what does that bar even measure?
Yeah, we gotta talk about that with Jack. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Oh, timeout. I know what it means.
It's great.
It is for the rating.
Oh, it's good. Oh, it's super.
I get it because his rating is
44.
his preferred rating is the ChessCom. That does make sense. Okay,
Yep.
good.
Oh man,
I was thinking that was somehow
Jack's
points
a
or
genius.
something.
That's perfect.
Oh, no, Jack is a total genius too.
Yeah. Jack.
Jack's a genius. Yeah. Well, let's look at another one real quick here. I'll go to a little bit of a deep dive. So a serious tactical mistake, hanging a rook. Okay, so let's take a look. Whoa. I didn't want to accept the gambit. I remember that e6 is the principal move. So I decided knight f6 to get him out of the line he had prepared. Okay, you guys, listen.
He's 900. He hasn't prepared a line.
He doesn't have no line. Okay, back in the day, David, this was considered a serious mistake in the old opening books, but I think it's actually not so bad because on cd5, a clever thing that black can do is play g6 here. And then it's very hard for white to avoid not going into a Grunfeld.
Well, you could play f3 now, right? That would be an amazing Grunfeld for white.
But but we get that same Grunfeld variation with f3.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
that also exists as a line. Anyways,
Okay.
back in the day, it's the only chance for black because, well, because if we take with a knight, which is the other move, like I played a bunch of games as a kid where people did this,
Yeah.
and then of course after e4, white's just got a nice advantage.
I thought that e4 is not even that precise, and black can equalize against e4.
I mean, just lost a lot of time. It's hard to imagine
Oh,
black's gonna. What did you think was even more precise? Knight f3.
knight f3, I thought.
Yeah, they're both pretty. They're both going to be good moves. Anyways, this is frisky. C6. I don't like it.
Yeah.
But you
It's
are
like,
developing. He is.
but before we go further into this, Jesse, it's like
Yeah.
interesting. It's like you know that e6 is the best move, and you're like, I heard that e6 was good,
Uh-huh.
so I played something else,
Right.
right? And like within 2 moves, you're down a pawn for nothing, right? Like, so I remember like my friends and I were shocked once. We were at a chess tournament and we overheard a master who had a funny voice saying to somebody else about some opening idea. I heard it was bad, so I played it. And we were just like, what the? How does that make any sense, right? And we weren't masters yet, so it was really like shocking because back in the day you had to have a certain respect for masters, right? But it was really far out. Like, what is the guy talking about? And now we've got kind of the flip side of it, right? Like, I heard it was good, so I didn't play it and did something else stupid instead. So let's just say, in general, I've grown more and more to believe that people should just play the moves that they think are good instead of getting into double and triple thinking about what their opponent knows or their style
Yeah.
or their opponent's style or
Yeah.
all that stuff. Forget it all. Just play the moves you think are good.
Yeah. It's like a weird psychological game one does with oneself. Okay, but
The opponent I played yesterday, Jesse, he did it at his level. He played 1b3 against me. And he said, normally I'm like a d4 and knight f3 player, but I was just afraid you might know main lines better than me, so like I played my blitz opening. And I'm like, wow, that's some great like sit down at the board and like it makes no sense, right? I mean, it makes no sense.
yeah, b3 is not a bad move. Okay. But one thing I want to say is really great about what he did do is he is aggressively claiming time, and his opponent doesn't understand time and now gives it all back with h3. And here, white would need to find bishop e2 to hold on to an advantage, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah.
There's a chance that bishop b5 would also maintain an advantage.
Maybe bishop b5 too. You're going to have to talk about. It's going to get a little hokey with e4 and stuff, but yeah. So in any case, loss of time. Good move. And then here we're going to get this power move. Knight takes d4. So one of the things I repeat on the show all the time, David, is that at this level, they're not going to give you material too easily, but they will give you time. And here we're getting a nice chunk of it.
Yeah.
I think it would be interesting for black to tell us what they intended on queen b7.
Probably knight c2. The king gets really misplaced there.
Yeah, it's just total mess. Good.
Yeah, I think that e takes d4 from white was probably a major mistake.
Yeah, there you go too. Yeah, absolutely giving time. Now my knight's chomping.
Like when black takes on d4,
That's a big old
you
knight.
just leave that. If black takes on e3, you'll take back with your bishop. That'll be good. So after black took on d4, white should have played, I don't know, some developing move.
Something, yeah.
I mean, bishop b5, there's queen a5, knight c3, pawn takes c3, bishop takes c6.
Yeah.
Takes, king e7. Then maybe castle kingside or something. It's a mess.
All right, let me just show you what David's nerding out about here. Bishop b5, queen a5, and then could you get away with knight c3? But from white's perspective, let's just make it simpler. As long as you did something to bring out your pieces and be better than what happened. But it's not
Yeah, I
super
mean,
easy.
the vanilla move might be bishop c4.
Yeah, bishop c4 is, I mean, let's just say black has a nice position. And bishop b5 really should be considered if it works, because bishop c4, you're eventually going to have to deal with a knight e5 question.
Yeah.
Okay, let's look at this game. Knight d4, queen d3, and I like what you say about this. One thing I noticed in the annotations is as we get higher, or in the lower cohorts, we see more use of words, and words are great, and the words are often eloquent like these words. But it would be great to have some variations and to say why bishop b4 was better than rook c8. My personal sense is I want to play this and castle pronto so that I can give white grief before they castle.
Yeah.
Right, before
absolutely.
they castle. So rook c8.
Yeah, I mean, this player is nailing it. I mean, the explanation is dead on here.
Bishop e3. Yeah, now if we had castled, we'd be able to play rook e8. Okay, so now...
Maintain that amazing knight.
Ooh, it's so sad that we have to give up, go into this situation. Oh, no. Oh, no. Okay, so you guys, things have happened. And let's just nota bene here. When we get this kind of advantage, this is what we could be called a dynamic advantage. It's not a structural advantage. What we mean by that, it's fleeting. So we definitely have the advantage with the knight, but you can see in just a couple moves, it all goes away. Right? It all goes away.
I mean, white's given black something like 2 tempi. And if black gives away 1 or 2 tempi, then,
And in this position, my friends, we can even talk about white being better.
Yeah.
Because the bishops are pretty angry.
Yeah.
Okay. So, bishop e2. If I was white here, black, excuse me, I don't know. I wouldn't really want to trade queens.
Yeah. I agree. I would have just snapped off on d8 as white last move.
Yeah, me too. Okay, now rook fe8. And I want to ask about knight e5. This would be kind of a complicated variation, but I think what would go down is like bishop f5, and then we can't take because of that action, Jackson.
Wow.
But knight e5 in itself is pretty good, It's a pretty good situation.
Yeah. I wanted to play an electrifying rook f3 move at the end of your variation, Jesse, but it doesn't work out.
That's pretty fancy, boss.
Yeah.
Oh, let's look. Rook f8, bringing the stuff out. Good move. Bishop b5. Knight d5. Bishop d4. And then here we have it with the hanging of the piece, rook e2. So one of the things we're seeing, right, is like, first of all, black is playing some good chess. Both these games we're looking at good chess, and that's the kind of thing that's killing the people at this level. Very important here is to write out what you think you should have done, right? So, for example, there's a tactic here that white has allowed with knight d4. And if we can trade that bishop off, we really would like to. And the point being, with snip, we got the old Zwischenzug here with knight e2. And black is going to be winning because we'll take this bad boy and do an implantation over here.
Yeah.
And then if they take this way, then we don't know exactly what we're going to do yet, but we're just happy. We're just happy that we got rid of that thing, man. We'll decide later what we're going to do. Yeah. Okay.
Another very reasonable move for black would have been a simple one. And, I mean, I just wanted to look at knight takes d4 as soon as I saw that position, right? But rook e to d8, leaving the ideas of knight takes d4 and knight c3 hanging over black.
Okay, yeah.
might also be adequate.
And so for the game annotation, we just want to stress, when you do a blunder, try to write out, what do you think would have been better and what would the evaluation be?
Yeah.
White misses it. And now you see that one. And we still need to do some tactics here because we need to evaluate this position.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say it's not easy yet because on knight c3, they got ye old bishop a6.
A6.
And on knight e2, rook e2, knight c3, they have ye old rook c2.
Yeah.
So rook fe1, he let you out of dodge, and you need to trade, or you need to do something like trading and then capturing.
I was given extra life by my opponent. Still, I hadn't spotted my hanging rook. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, and he writes that, yeah.
And not yet noticed it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So let's talk about this endgame phase. G6 isn't ridiculous, but if we want to fix our king in this position, then king f8 is the move. That should be our default move. Let's call it that. Right? If we're just playing blitz, just play king f8. Because our king wants to get closer. Right? And to defend the e7 square so that our knight can move. Right? White also should be thinking about maybe doing something with their king.
Black could also have considered f6 to stop rook e5 and play king f7.
Something like that, yeah. And then, now here's what we get, Pruess. This is the thing I'm writing out this thing, how to analyze your games. And one of the very interesting things I'm saying there's a rule is if you're not analyzing it in your games, in your analysis, you're probably not thinking about it in your games or doing it in your games. And so here we see the typical scenario where we have an endgame with 0 annotations. We talked about this on the Endgame podcast, right?
Yeah. I mean, that said, the 900 rated cohort, they're not supposed to have to work that hard on their endgame yet,
But they definitely have to work on their annotations. This is where you learn the endgames. And what I'm saying is all of these players, when it gets to the endgame, we just get this blank that like where they had done great work before, then it's just this blank void. And what that tells me is at this point of the game, they didn't know what to do or they thought that the moves were obvious. Right? Okay, so here we go.
Wait, they ended up on top?
Well, yeah, dude, both players both are just moving instantly.
Oh.
This is what happens, Mr. Pruess, I'm telling you. And now we have a technical endgame. Very interesting. And this would all demand a lot of attention from the analysis.
Oh, yeah, go back.
No, I'm not going to go back because these people aren't thinking about it. Here. Oh my gosh, we've activated the king. There's a lot not done. See what I'm saying, boss? They're just moving like animals.
Whoa. He's still trying to checkmate black.
I think F2 doesn't work yet, but it's about almost.
Yeah.
And then finally it's a draw. So you guys, look, there was so much, like me and Pruess could nerd out on that ending for hours, okay? But the thing is, you might feel like, oh, it's such a weird endgame, I'll never be able to understand it. Just trying to will help you. And let me give you a good example, just on chess skill level. Let's say you take this endgame here. I have a certain amount of, let's say, understanding in this kind of position. I can guarantee you, or I have a strong guarantee that if I'm playing my coach KGB, that he would waste me every time it's black and draw every time it's white. That's the guy's level of understanding of this position. The reason I bring it up is that doing the annotations doesn't mean you have to have absolute truth or anything. It just means that you are practicing your skill level. It's kind of like you're practicing debating something in a position like this, right? And you will get
Yeah.
this kind of position again.
A cool little calculation exercise that I think would be definitely at the level of these players would be go to the position after rook to d8 on move 25 and see if white can find a continuation to not end up down a pawn from here. I think that would be a useful thing to for players of this level to try and do.
For sure.
Search your way for white to end up with equal pawns in this rook ending.
And let me stress, there are multiple little exercises in this stretch of moves that we have here. Okay, Arboria, dude, you are crushing it. You have some real, I would say you have real skills for where you are, and that especially once you stop dropping pieces, dude, you're going to be flying well beyond the 1,000 cohort because you have some real positional understanding. Okay, cool. Let's do the next one, Dave. So next we're going to 1,000. And up now is Chess Spartan, who I don't think I've ever looked at before. Let's follow Chess Spartan. Adult player with a FIDE rating of 1,200 plus. I'm looking to play chess tournaments after maybe a 10-year break. So there's their FIDE. Now, if they were using their FIDE, they would be in a much higher cohort. And what's a bummer here is they don't have I don't have many games going on over here. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's look into what's going on. So
check out what they've done. Do they have any games marked in what they've done on the training plan under games and analysis?
Yeah, it looks like I have a feeling they have some games. They've done some good endgame work. They've done some tactics. Yeah. And let's look over what they've got. Middle game strategy. Nice. I mean, they're doing the work. So something, and they got some games. So we'll see where these games are from or what's going on. Most of the time spent with tactics. Okay. And now let's see. So, Saturday Classical number 4 Arena on Lee Chess. So, something's going on with the rating. Something's going on, right? They've got a great FIDE rating. Maybe that they consider that too high. They must consider that too high because they're in a much lower cohort. And then let's go back just briefly here, actually, for a second.
But even their Lee chess must be too high for this cohort, right? I mean, 1,800 Lee chess has to be more than 1,000.
So normalize it's 1451, right? So yeah, both the Lee chess and then they're not playing. They're not playing on their preferred metric, boss. I don't know.
Is chess.com Rapid the preferred? Yeah.
Yeah. So what we got to say there, Chess Spartan, is I think you need to graduate, and whatever rating system you use, you should be the one where you're playing, and it seems like you're playing on Lee Chess. Let's take a look at a game.
Yeah.
So we are black here, so let's flip. Okay. Fancy. All right. Mess. So far, black's doing great. D4 is a little weird. You took. Has to be okay. And guess what? Now we're going to get a queen trade. And let's see what they write. I got a little happy because I can play against the isolated d-pawn. I was expecting cd3, then the d-pawn becomes weak. Okay. So now you're doing great. Great position. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Knight c6 can't be wrong. Knight f3. Okay. And now you consider bishop g4 and bishop c5. Good. Yeah. They both have to be good moves. They both have to be good. A3, loss of time. Can I just say it again? They're not going to give you their pieces freely, but they will give you their time as if it is nothing. Bishop g4, good move. By the way, I think we should put in an a3, put a question mark. That ain't it. That ain't it. Good move.
Yeah.
Okay, now a moment. You castled short. I would definitely be interested in castling long, just so we can claim that our rook is developed on d8. But let's give your move a try here. So castle.
Well, and there's good reasoning behind the move that they played, right? They give you the reasoning.
Let's read this. Then I thought castle king side, and my opponent castles queen side to play a5. Okay.
Basically, they want to play a little bit more savagely because they've cut off kingside castling from the white king. And that shows that the player understands that it's not just an end game, it's a queenless middle game, right? Like there's enough material that you can play for initiative, attacks, etc.
Yeah. Okay. Castles. And now knight d4. Excuse me, a5. b5. Knight d4. And now it looks like white blunders here with knight takes d4. Seems like they got to do something to protect it instead. So we could imagine bishop e4. We can imagine rook hf1. Right?
The exchange stack might have been black's best practical chance, honestly. White's.
Okay. Looks lost to me, bro.
We'll see if I've miscalculated something. I was thinking bishop e4 in this position.
Yeah, okay. The bummer there is I can play bishop c5. Rook a d8 actually might even be more evil. Bishop e4, rook a d8.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm threatening this thing here.
Yeah. Okay, this is not.
Yeah. So let's say the obvious. This was a higher level player like David might consider the exchange sacrifice. I'm going to go ahead and say white just blundered this. So we should put a question mark with knight takes d4. And then
this if it was played quickly.
This might look like they're winning a pawn, but they've activated our king and given us a tempo. Rook a d8, great move. Yeah. Rook a4, maybe you missed it, but it's fine. And then e6. Now, yes and no about this move. It is going to mess with you some, but it is also activating your f8 rook. Okay, now let's think about this. Here would be, and here's another, let me just say it again. We get to the endgame phase, and then people stop doing annotations. I would definitely say
it's so complicated.
Yeah, this is the moment where we got to think about it for a second, Baos. This is our moment. Yeah. So, for example, let me give you an example. I think rook d5 is interesting, and there's real question marks though about this move because, first of all, here, let me do this variation. Here I think I'm doing great. He still has rook h4, but I'm doing great. I've activated everybody.
But you've got 2 pawns left. It's very close to a draw.
Okay, but let me just say the real question on rook d5 though is c4.
Yeah.
And then here's the question though is this rook getting out before white gets mated? That would be a variation to consider. Right?
It's intense.
And in fact, let's go back a half a second more here and say...
I mean, I think the right move for black most likely was e6, rook c8, but I haven't looked at it yet.
Oh, okay, good call. Yeah. By the way, I was...
like the whole queen side, we're losing all our pawns.
I was thinking, too, in this position that the rook takes a5 isn't the scariest thing I've ever seen either. You know, so like rook d5 is a reasonable looking move for me here. Okay, David comes up with a nice move here, rook c8. I still believe in black, but now if we lose both of those pawns, then we could be worse.
Wait, I'm saying rook c8 before the trade.
I know. I know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now I'm just saying I'm concerned.
Okay. Yeah, in the game you're concerned. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, black's very low on material to win with now.
That looks like a blunder. So there it is, people blundering, right? So let's just say the obvious after bishop b4, and that we should definitely give a variation and an evaluation here. It's not necessarily the easiest thing because white is going to run these two bad boys. Right? Mm-hmm. So this would take me some time to figure out what I thought exactly was going on and what I thought the best move for black here would be. I do know that it's not a simple thing.
I think rook f2 keeps black with chances, but there are a lot of scenarios. I mean, that move's very convenient here, but there are a lot of scenarios where the bishop and 2 pawns will be as good as the rook.
Yeah, I think it's still the party's on. I think the party's on. I mean, so let me just say we're not going to go too deep of a rabbit hole, but just as an example of a thing you could analyze would be something like rook here, king. Let's just say rook for an example. Yeah. Pawn. Okay. Rook over somewhere. Rook a7. And we got ourselves, both sides are running. And it's not simple because white will achieve c5. And yeah, it's going to be hot. It's going to be hot. Okay. So we don't know what's going on with Chess Spartan. I think both of us think that Chess Spartan is in the wrong cohort.
Looks like it, yeah.
But still, I was very happy with so much of this I didn't have a problem with. And one of the things I really want to stress, okay, let's say we get to this position. The next couple notes you see here that was me and David trying to figure it out. This is where we need you need to do some work, Bows. You need to do some work, and you will get better at it. You will get better at it. And this is just a common theme that we see. Okay, cool. Whew. Maybe we got one more. How about one more, David, and then we'll do whatever sparring we got going on.
Sure.
So that was 1,000, 1,100. And let's do one more. This is going to be Sid Mandu, I believe. Sid Mandu. And returning to chess after nearly 15 years, looking to improve. I think I'm a lot stronger than my ChessCom rating would suggest. I played 2 OTB tournaments in my life, so USCF is still provisional. Since returning to chess a little over a year ago, I have not really been organized in improving. Hopefully the structure of the dojo is what I need. I probably need to stop playing chess too. My chess claim to fame, I was the 2005 winner in the unrated category of the Montana Chess Open. There you go. Okay. Let's follow Sid Mandu. I feel like I have looked at this profile before. I just remember Pale Morning Dune.
I've done a full profile of this player before.
Okay. Good.
I've played through all their most recent games.
Now that their graph is a little chaotic, but if we graph it from the bottom to the top, if we ignore the in-between, it looks like a straight line up. And they're not too far away from making it. They've done all of their endgame stuff. Look at that. All of their tactics.
Yeah.
Let's go look at the ratings too if there's more. So the USCF is provisional at 1399. Well, that's great. That would obviously be the next. If you got, let's say, if you got that you finished your provisional rating, you could graduate yourself on that basis. And I say this to everybody: if you play enough over the board to make that your preferred, you should. You should. David, can I just pause? I'm gonna make a little fun rant here. So my student Jamil, man, playing the randos on ChessCom around 2000, they're like not all cheaters, but like the amount of cheaters is just stunning. And this very satisfying thing happened where I was chatting with DM Hokie, and DM was like, "Oh yeah, we have like mod authority," And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, I'll put Jamil's opponent into the, I'll escalate him. That was his words. I was like, escalate him? You're going to escalate him? So he escalated the cheater, dude, and the cheater was banned like 10 minutes later. That dude got escalated, man.
Wow.
So we've got power, my friends. I felt it was like a situation of feeling just powerless to like, okay, maybe there is something that can be done. Anyways, I went on that rant just because one of the reasons that online play is not so fun is because you'll be running into the cheaters. Okay, let's take a look at a game, and then me and Dave, we're going to do some kind of sparring here. So this is Enstum. Okay, so this looks like an online game. Looks like where we might get the times. Weird, right? Notice what you're saying about the opening. It makes zero, there's no sense about any opening stuff if your opponent's going to be doing h6. And perhaps your opponent was even saying to themselves, oh, pale morning done. That guy's done a lot of opening theory. I'm going to do something weird to get out of it.
I've heard that knight c6 is a good move in this position, so I avoided it.
By the way, your opening so far is beautiful. Good. Everything so far, perfect. Perfect. Okay. F4, good. And knight fd7, bad. So your opponent continues to give you time. Now, my suspicion is that, well, we would want to talk about f5 and whether f5 is winning on the spot. Right?
Or how about just taking on e6, Jesse?
Taking on e6. Oh, that David's even got even better. Look at that one, my friends. Bam! Check to the miserable king. Check to the miserable king. That's what happens when you don't develop your stuff, my friends.
That's what happens, Walter. That's what happens when you don't develop your stuff.
What is the Walter reference to? So
That's from the movie.
H3. Oh. So definitely a wasted move. Good that you said it.
Uh-oh. Did White just play h3, Jesse?
Well, he did, but he acknowledged. He acknowledged that it was poor. Queen f2 with a dirty little trick. Nice. This guy loves putting his knight on d7. And there we go. A little bit late, but it's there. Now, one thing we should say about this move is that if black can put a knight on e5, then it's a good thing for black. And it kind of looks like they could do it here. And that really makes their life a lot more palatable because the knight is so strong.
Bishop on c4, this f5 move isn't hitting as hard.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
I think, I mean, I know I've started to play a lot of blitz moves instead of real moves. But I see a position like this, and I think of playing rook a d1 to just pressure the d6 pawn and maybe look for an e5 move.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with you. Your opponent, though, doesn't sense it, blocks off their own square, and gives you this beautiful square here. I like your retreat. Again, waste of time. They're giving away time like nobody's business. Good move. Good move. Ah, there you go. You're putting it together, bud. You're putting it together. Knight b6. And now you do this, and I don't like it too much because I just don't want to trade off that silly knight on b6. And just bishop b3. Right, David? Bishop b3. Look at that bishop. We'll keep him. We'll keep that guy.
Yeah. Partly because the knight on b6 is awkward at the moment.
It's a terrible piece. Terrible piece.
The queen has to hold on to it, and it's just dangling there. And what you really want to do as white is you want to play f6.
Yeah, there you go, Bob.
And just shred the king. Like, forget about the d5 outpost. Like, sometimes you need to just end the game. And my calculation is f6, knight takes bishop, queen g3, g6, and then you really wish you still had the bishop. you could play queen g6.
Yeah. That's why we keep the bishop. Yeah.
So bishop b3.
Yeah.
And then it's just all dangling over black. They can't do anything. They can't play f6 themselves because of the bishop. So basically, the end.
The end. They can't even do anything. And David wants to mate, and I want to say I like the other advantages too. I like this. I like this. I like this. I like I like it all. I like it all. I like this. I like it all. It's an example. Actually, it's textbook example of just all your pieces being better.
Yes.
Okay, so here we go. Bishop d5.
I'm very sensitive to the d file. I've spent my life, trying to play the good knight on d5 against a bad bishop on e7. But we have to remember that in these positions, sometimes white can attack on the king side. We can't tunnel vision on one positional advantage, right?
Sure.
Especially since black traded the dark squared bishop. They're more vulnerable to this f6 move and less vulnerable to losing the endgame to a good knight.
And let's give black props for f6. That's probably a prudent thing to do, to block your f6 move off.
Yeah,
Rook f3.
By like 50 moves there.
Now let me say something about rook f3. Rook f3 is a frisky move. And the question
1 second, Jesse.
The question will be, are we really getting anything after this? And the answer, I'm not sure. And so what we have here is you still have a great position, but we need to come up with a way to, to put black down, to put him down. I need a way to put him down. And you got a couple nice moves here. David's not going to like the move that I'm going to suggest, but because he wants to mate as well. But I like c4, intending knight b6 and c5. All right, let's look at your move, though. Wrong way.
I'm back.
The guy should probably be playing king h7. Knight b6. Rook b8.
Hang on.
Hold on, look at what he's doing. Look what he's doing. Bang! Check to the miserable king.
Ooh, that's nice.
That's nice, right, dog? King e8. And now we're just wasting him. Snip. Bam! Look at this. These are some good games, Bows. These are some good games. Look at that. Mm-hmm. And look at this. He's like, am I worried about my c-pawn? No. I'm going to bring the lady in. I'm going to bring her in. Oh, let's bring my knight in too, Bows. Rook e7 is a nice move. Oh. So, and this is where I panicked. I thought I had already blundered, but I hadn't. Yet, until I made this move, Rook e7 is the move to win for white. Good annotations. Well done.
Yeah, perfect.
Uh-oh. Oh, that's so unfair. That's so unfair, Bows.
Well,
so actually, let's go back and look at their decision. Unfortunately, it doesn't show us the times here.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, black played this move rook c6, and white did not think about the rook and the queen on the 6th rank, right?
Well, hold on.
So this d5 move was a big surprise, and that's what sets you up to then make a mistake.
And let's just say that, okay, the moves, the times aren't showing up on the bottom here, but he does give them to us. So on queen e6, he says he's got 15 minutes left. Knight c3, thought a little bit less than a minute. And then David's right, there should be a sense of danger after rook c6. But then especially after they come up with a move like d5, you got to tank. You got to tank to see if there's some way out of that,
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, pale morning dawn. Oh, it's so sad, dude. Oh, queen v6. And I think what we might also want to write is, when I played rook d5, I thought you could say something like, I thought rook d5 was my only option, but I had missed queen b6. That is something might have happened. Okay, there it is.
Yeah.
So let's go back to Sid Madu.
You went so fast, Jesse, that I didn't get to look at rook takes g7 check when the black king tried to flee.
Yeah, I did. I'm sorry, I went a little too fast. So Pale Morning Dawn, me and David have looked at this dude before. Definitely gonna make it, or going to make it. All right, David. Let me ask you, bud. I
Yeah.
forced you to do different kinds of sparring, and I have all kinds of things to do. But since I was the one who forced it on you, maybe you have certain things you would like to do.
Yeah, I mean, if you hadn't invited me on, I'd be analyzing my game tonight.
We could do that, yeah.
Yeah.
Though
Okay.
the true dojo way for you would be to do it.
I'll be to do it on my own first. Yeah.
But we could do it a little bit if you want, man.
Okay.
Um, Maybe what you could start a study on ChessCom, and I could join you.
Okay. See if I can figure out how to do that.
And why don't I use this opportunity? I'll do a quick stream break, and I'm gonna get
Is
myself a
that a
cup of tea.
classroom? Is that a classroom you're saying?
Yeah, classroom.
Classroom? All right, let me send you an invite before you go. That way I can show people the game while you go.
Okay, and maybe I have never grabbed a video from Discord, but maybe I can. So yeah, I'll go to ChessCom over here.
What is this thing? Welcome to Jesse Krai's classroom. That's not right.
Welcome to Jesse Krai's classroom.
Let's make a new room.
I could make a
New
classroom
room.
too.
And then I have to copy this. Bring it over here. Add the game. All right, and now I need to invite Jesse Kraai.
There it is.
All right. Created a room. So now I can play through the game for folks to see.
Yeah. And let me see if I can grab you. Then here, let's see. Window capture. No, I wish for Discord. I don't know.
Wish for Discord.
Yeah, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So I think
I can use it. Say, wish for Discord.
Kostya needs to give us our Zoom back. Kostya, do you hear that, buddy? All right,
Don't anger him, Jesse. Don't anger him. All right. So if I go forward, do you guys see that? That's the big question. Oh yeah, you do. Nice. All right. So, folks, this is I'll just play through the game without comments first so you can see the shape of the game and then we can figure out, places to look at. So I'm black in this game. Maybe there's somewhere I could put that information. Edit game title, maybe. Whoops. Someone versus David. Someone versus David. No, that didn't help. All right, so here's how it started. In this position, this was my first big think of the game. I thought between d6 and e4, and I chose d6. I didn't think too much about this move until after I played it, and then I thought, oh, maybe I should have thought about it. I thought for a while on this move. This is to avoid knight b4. This is to play bishop a3 and trade my good bishop. Here I expected white to play g3. If white takes on f3, it's probably really bad for white. So my opponent moved. King. h4. This is a critical moment in the game for my opponent's perspective, for sure. played b6. Sure, saying hi. All right. Centralized the queen. White traded and pushed. I trade off my beautiful bishop. Get a beautiful knight. My king goes over there. F5. King b8, so I could take on g4 and not lose a rook. Rook g2. Going after f2. Queen f1. I made this decision here a little bit too fast. But I got this tactic in. And now I've got this position which I didn't really know how to win it. My opponent starts fixing the rook, and I realize, I don't have much time. I get the g file though, and now it's smooth. And here my opponent resigned. So I know from playing this game that there are a few moments that I'm most interested in looking at. One is this decision here to go rook g2, knight g3, because I had maybe 12 minutes and I only spent 2 minutes on this, even though I was not confident how I would win if my opponent sacked the queen, which I kind of suspected they would. Then my opponent did it, and then I spent 10 minutes and couldn't figure out how to win the position. Oops. So I feel like the time was maybe used a little bit weirdly, but it definitely points at a weakness or a gap in my skills that I didn't know what to do with this position.
Dog, what's the guy's name? I'll look him up.
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
I lost the score sheet.
Oh man, that's like the losing your homework thing. My dog gave my homework. That's
Yeah.
Well, let's take it from the top, dude. So,
Yeah.
had you played? Oh no, it's not working. Let me refresh. Reload site. So have you played this? Oh, it's not letting me do it. Oh God, no. Sometimes the classroom just goes loco. Oh, welcome. You have to give me control. There's a little thing next to my name, and you have to hit. There's 3 dots, and you got to click that, and then say, "Give me full control." Give Kraai full.
Whoa.
Yeah. Doesn't mean I have all the control. It just means I have some control. There we go.
There you go.
So,
Sorry.
had you had this set up before?
No, not really, except that it transposed to a French structure pretty quickly, which I have had before a million times. But no, I thought on this d6 move between d6 and e4 for a while.
Yeah. One cool thing, actually, I have a file and a video on it, is this idea to play d5, bishop b5, and then this stunner move, knight e7. With the point that your compensation here is epic in this position. Very interesting.
Playing a6.
Yeah, it's very anti-intuitive first, but then when you look at it, you're like, oh. the pieces are discoordinated, and it's actually very difficult for white. Anyways, I have a file and a video on that thing. So
Jeez,
let's go to
that's
this one.
insanity.
That is insanity. That's also like some AlphaZero style stuff. I'm certain the computer came up with that. I'm not the only one who knows about that, and there's some people actually on the Discord who've done some further analysis. But yeah.
What I
Okay.
thought of after the game was to play d5. Oh, sorry, but what's the order? E3, d5, yeah, E3, d5, and then bishop b5, f6. Do you know anything about that move?
Yeah, that's also fine. So E3, D5, bishop B5, F6. Yeah, that's also topical. And
Okay. Because like I'm super defending my dark squares and hoping that white's going to trade off their light squared bishop.
right. Also interesting, yeah. So I think then the big question though comes for white, or my first question would be for white, how do we feel about this position with D5? Seems like that's got to be his. Oh, that's got to be a question, right?
Oh, no. You can't do it here because of knight b4.
Okay, let's say I play knight D2.
Oh, and then you're going to play knight takes e4 too, huh?
All I know is I have to open this bad boy up.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't look at that move. Yeah, what would you do on bishop f5, I guess?
On bishop f5, my default would be bishop b5 check.
Yeah.
But maybe I could do something else.
Then I should be happy with c6, even though I'm not winning a pawn. I'm nicely developed.
Well, okay, but it would be, first of all, let's put it this way.
Yeah.
This move, I think, has to be categorized as a mistake because after d5, doesn't dude have a, I mean, I'd rather be black, right? No, I think I'd rather be black. Because you have some Frenchy stuff has happened, and b3 bishop b2. Nah, that's not the best thing to do in the French.
But both my bishop pawns are blocked, which is they each have their awkward points.
Okay. So, anyways, I would rather be black in that position,
Okay.
and so therefore, as white, I would be interested in this one. And then the question then for us to figure out is, does black have a clear, what's the eval? My gut is we might be worse as black. I'm not 100%, but just that bishop on b2 is now very strong.
It looks happy, yeah. I think trading on f3 is clearly bad for black, so it would have to be something with knight b4. So there would have to be some concrete line.
Yeah, I guess I agree. It's hard to see how we wouldn't be worse. His pieces are coming out faster.
Yeah, bishop f8 is not good. Bishop b2, amazing. Every white piece, happy.
So knight b4. Let's say knight d2.
Yeah, I'll play bishop f5. The only move I believe in.
Okay, so if I don't, so then my options would be, I guess bishop e5 is the, well, okay, let me just play the natural move first, bishop e5. I assume c6.
Yes, but go back a second, Jesse.
Mm-hmm.
Go back one move. So put the bishop back on c8. I did not look at bishop g4. And we should maybe just glance at that for a second.
Okay.
It's just, direct and tactical.
Oh, maybe then you can play knight d5.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. That might be a cool idea. Let's look
But
at the
you
game again.
pretty much have to play f3 or bishop e2 and recapture with the king, which is not super plausible.
Okay, this is turning interesting. So bishop g4. And now get hot pretty fast here.
Yeah, I think f3.
Well, you're not the only one who gets to be fancy. Check.
Okay. Checking me. c6.
Takes.
Okay. Take back.
Now, so there's this option, and then also that f3 move. But the claim is just about better stuff.
Take it?
Now you got a wide choice. But the question is the fate of your b4 knight.
But okay. I mean, my center is great. I'm sort of comfortable no matter what move I play here. Personally, I feel good.
Well, no, you definitely need a good move here, because if I play a3, your knight isn't going to have a great square.
a6 or d5 are both fine with me.
So maybe d5 first? I think that's probably your best move.
Honestly, I feel like I could play anything. Queen c8, bishop e7.
Okay, no, you might be right. Okay, so this looks murky. David believes in it, fine. And then the other interesting one is f3. And let me just pause and say, maybe black can do magic here. I'm not sure. So the positional variation would be some kind of take in e4, but there might be some kind of knight d5 madness to give up the bishop and give me this check.
Yeah. And in fact, just to play knight e3 and the other knight to c2. So let's play ef3, gf3, knight f takes d5.
That certainly looks scary.
Yeah.
It's still not. Oh, here's a fun variation. Watch, check this out, boss. You go knight e3, queen e2, queen h4 here. And now I'm not doing good here. Right?
Yeah, but why didn't I play knight c2 last move?
Maybe you could, but you can't. Your knight will be pinned then, and can't get out.
Yeah, but I'm going to draw. Oh, your king's going to go to g1 and try and just keep playing?
Some business like that, you know.
Wow. Okay.
But the other, anyways, queen h4 is an ender. Okay, let's look again. d5, knight b4. I'm not sure I'm done yet. Let's go knight g5.
Okay.
Bishop d4 was a nice move.
Okay. What are you planning against h6?
a3. I think.
Okay.
And then wait a second. Oh, I had totally thought it out. A3, knight c2, maybe is simple enough. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Maybe this is working for you.
Want to see a weird variation?
You're going to show it to me anyway, so what is it?
No, I don't have to. Okay. So go to move 4, and then instead of d4 for white, play c4.
Well, right. And so this is like the key moment for white. And by the way, if you there's people who are very good at this B3 stuff. That guy Adiban did a whole chessable course, and I'm sure this is one of the key variations in there. So bishop b5, c4, and d4 all look like the plausible moves.
I think bishop b5 doesn't look as good since I've already overprotected the e5 square. But I thought about c4 quite a bit during the game, and here's an interesting variation. c4, g6, then d4, then e4. It's similar to what we were just looking at. And now d5.
That looks like a favorable version for white.
Yeah, compared to the previous one, the knight b4 move is just never going to work out, right? So now black takes on f3. And white takes on c6. And this position, it looks like black's dead, right?
Doesn't look great.
And here's what I came up with.
Okay.
Well, their queen f3 wins a pawn, right? Maybe that's playable. But what I came up with was bishop g7 last move.
Instead of bc. But isn't queen f3 still a pain?
Then we're going to play bishop g4.
Okay. Yeah.
And then against bishop f6, we take back with the queen. And the rook on a1 is trapped.
You could take back with the bishop too if you wanted to.
Okay.
Maybe.
I'm developing a new piece.
Still, I like white here, like knight d2. Right.
Now I could take on g2.
I don't know.
And I have 3 moves I'm considering here.
Oh, white's better. He's got the development. Big fat pawn.
Maybe I'll just play the most boring of the 3 moves, rook b8.
Yeah, okay. So white's got we're up a couple tempi. Pawn on c6 isn't going anywhere. Yeah, it's a nice position.
Okay.
I think on c4, though, now, again, you'd have to consult the opening manuals here, but e4 would be the question that I think white would be a little maybe concerned about. And then, I don't know, knight d4, let's just say black's okay on knight d4. I'm assuming knight g5, h6 is good for black. Yeah. Okay, well, let's look at your French structure. So d4,
All right.
e4,
Yeah.
pop, pop. Dude plays a little passively here, bishop e2.
Yeah, I mean, the variation that dude didn't like was, c4, bishop g4.
It is kind of annoying. Yeah, this isn't good for white, man. Bishop e2. And now we got a real Prussian move here, my friends. h5. That's
Well, here's the thing,
Prussian.
Jesse.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that's your style, boss. That's your thing.
Yeah, but I want to defend white's honor because I didn't think I had that good a position. So white's played b3 and bishop b2, which is not the most precise, but black has played d6, d5.
Right.
So already the tempo balance is pretty similar to a normal French. And then I've got my knights blocking me from playing c6 or f5. So it wasn't obvious to me how to organize my position.
I think you're doing great, dude. I think h5 is thematic.
Okay.
A weenie move that's to nobody's liking would be, I don't know, to think about bishop a3 at some point. It's a sad move. You know.
That's a normal move for white to play at some point, yeah.
Okay, definitely h3 doesn't feel right, and you can feel white's terror of losing his good bishop here.
Yeah.
Right?
But I was, I knew that white was going to take mine with bishop a3 at some point, so I just accepted it instead of being terrified by it. I knew it wasn't the end-all and be-all of the entire position, but I mean, I would have played bishop g4 if he let me. That was my intention.
Yeah, so this... Well, first of all, before we make fun of white for playing h3, it is a difficult moment for the dude. Because it's frightening. So his moves would be bishop a3, c4, and the ambitious castles.
Yeah.
And then I think the intention of castles would be that if you played the natural bishop d6, threatening the bomb, that I would play f4. But my bishop is sadly not on my e3 pawn, so I'm nervous about this position.
Yeah, the whole f3, f4 stuff doesn't go very well with bishop b2.
Right. But this would be one of the plans that dude could think about.
That looks risky to me. I would gladly take on f3.
Let's look at the natural c4. How would this go? What was your intention here?
I would play bishop g4 there.
And then let's see, carries on. Bishop a3 is also thought. Let's just see this one first.
Yeah, now I would go knight b4. So. And then I'm assuming white's going to castle.
Well, we got options because you're a little loose. Not to say what you did was wrong. You're just a little loose.
If f3 is an issue, we could just trade last move. Should we make it simpler?
I mean, maybe it isn't an issue. I was looking at f3. It's not. It would go something maybe like ef, gf, bishop f5, and then white has several griefs to think about there.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting position.
Yeah. Okay, let me just posit something a little bit simpler, though.
Okay.
So instead of knight b4, we'll go bishop e2, queen e2, knight b4. I would think I would castle for white there.
Okay.
To avoid knight c2 and knight d3. Not 100% forced. And then c6.
So you're not going to push it into me yet?
No.
White
because it's all going to fall apart if I go too fast.
White might live through this. Because we are up some good development. And and I think I'm taking away this d3 post for you.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. So it's not simple. It's not simple.
Let's start at the top. So c4, bishop g4 looks natural. Yeah. Pop, pop. Let's try your knight b4, boss. And you know what? Maybe, let me be ambitious. This might be foolhardy, but let me just be ambitious here for a second.
Okay. We're playing c6 for black. That's
Okay, I'm going to say I'm worried about knight d3, but all right, c6.
knight d3, you play rook b1, and then what's the deal?
Well, here though, when I play f3, now I think I'm getting a situation where your knight never gets in,
Yeah.
and then it's arguably just a bad piece.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Now you might be right, but you can see I've got some knight d3 anxiety, but the reason I played this whole thing as white is as a French player, a lot of times that knight can't stay forever.
Yeah.
You could, for example, just even take on b2 and claim to be a jerk face with the dark squares.
Yeah. True.
Well, this at least seems playable for the guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, my instinct is this is playable for both sides. Yeah, I mean, I spent many years being super excited about trading the good bishop from either side of these positions. And now I realize that, you're spending 1 or 2 tempi for it, and, it's just a piece. It's not, the whole structure isn't 100% set in stone. There's all these moves like f3 in this variation, but there's always some stuff to be done, or often some stuff to be done, so that doesn't just decide the game.
All right, so my dogmatic take on h3 is that white's making a weakness on their weak side of the board. That's simple.
Yeah.
And here you have a couple moves. In addition to bishop f5, if you wanted to be a simpleton, you could play knight e7. That's not actually, I call it a simpleton. That's a kind of complicated maneuver. But yeah, you can play knight e7. All right, tell me what you're thinking when you play bishop f5.
Developing the piece, overprotecting e4 since the d5 pawn might not last.
So, for example, your opponent clearly was terrified of knight b4 and spends another tempo with a3 here.
Yeah.
What was your intention on c4?
Knight b4, yeah.
Well, let's look at this one. So, all right, brings us. Oh, he can't do that. Wait, he's got to be a little. Yeah, he can. What am I saying? Noblerone, thank you for rating us. We're looking at a game that David played last night in the French League. He won't tell us, though, the name of his opponent. He won't tell us the name of his team. He won't tell us shit.
My team is called Saint-Lô.
Well, let's just say something obvious, David. The guy is unnecessarily afraid of knight b4. Right? What are we talking about?
It's a matter of taste. It's a matter of taste.
Oh, I don't think so. He's blowing time like nobody's business. What is he doing?
I thought it was okay. I guess I would play probably c6 here now, given the chance.
Right. And then on a3, are you going to sink it?
Yeah, I'll sink it. I'm committed to weakening the opponent's light square, for sure.
Just when I talk dogmatically for a second, one problem of h3 is now when I play f3 or f4, I have other griefs. And so that's a problem for me. Let's play castles.
Okay. Oh, and one of the reasons I played bishop f5 early on, Jesse, was also that maybe if white castled, I could simply play queen d7 and sack and terrorize them.
No, David is speaking to you all. He knows. We know. Maybe he's even going to do it now. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you asked me why I played the move, so I'm just
Yeah,
sort
no,
of,
that's fine. It's fine.
a little bit. Yeah. So, but here Queen D7 has this Bishop B5 issue, so I'll go Bishop D6 here.
You can think about Queen D. I was thinking that on Queen D7, if CD, you might even have Bishop H3 right then. I don't know. Maybe not because E4 falling. I don't know. So you want to play Bishop B6? Fine.
Actually, wait. Go back and move. Okay, let's try. Let's try Rook H6 first.
Also, maybe even the immediate Bishop H3. It's like black, white.
Yeah.
I mean, white kind of needs to castle, and then there could be some drama. So you want to play Rook H6? I think I
Yeah.
got to do this.
You got to do what?
F4.
Okay. I don't 100% have to take, do I? If I take, you're taking back with the rook?
Gotta.
Yeah.
Gotta Kamsky.
Okay, Jesse. I feel like if I just play Rook G6 and Knight D3 and stuff, Black's position is golden.
Maybe. I might be threatening to take the pawn on H5. I don't know.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll sink the knight sooner than later then. Knight D3.
Let's bring the dog in.
Yeah.
You might be able to get away with Knight G4 here, dude. I don't know.
Yeah, then you put the knight on G5, right?
I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm just voicing my fears. Voicing my fears. I have to do something with my knight, though.
Yeah. Wait, go back a couple moves to right when you played F4.
Okay. So,
I mean, was Knight G6 available then? Was your king already on H2?
well, I
No,
played
it wasn't.
F4 and then you played Rook G6. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So wait. Our debate though is this: David feels that the super slow A3 is reasonable because this Knight B4 thing is in fact so scary.
Yeah.
To my
I mean, not so scary, just like, A3 scary,
A3 scary. To
I
my
feel like
eyes, it's like, oh
it's a
no.
balanced choice.
It feels like we're gonna get mated here. Yeah.
Well, he's not going to castle kingside in this game, so he's not going to get mated.
But okay, but even if you don't castle kingside, you can still attack on the king side. Okay, Knight E7 looks like a normal move. David, you got to have your score sheet for the times, boss. Got to get the times in. All right.
Yeah.
This looks correct, Mundo. Let's play a couple moves. C4, C6, and now dude plays A4. Okay.
He wants my bishop.
This guy's obsessed with pawn moves, is what. No one told him to develop bows. No one shared the good news.
Are you? I mean, his position's fine. None of his moves are bad.
Oh no. His position's miserable, dude. Miserable. Les Miserables, dude. This is horrendous.
I thought it was just balanced.
You've got the space advantage. You've got the time advantage. You've got the weakness on his weak side. You've already consolidated your D4 point, aka here D5 point. No, this is miserable, man.
Okay.
Now, Knight
So I haven't done anything stupid from black side yet.
I didn't. No, I didn't see anything wrong so far.
Well, I played Knight G6 now. It's kind of destined for H4 at some point.
Right. You do an interesting thing where you encourage him to close the queen side down here in a touch. Let me just fast forward.
Oh yeah.
So you encouraged him to do that, which I'm not
Yeah.
thrilled about.
I didn't think that he would. I was surprised.
Well, but here you're giving him a plan of moving the king by hand to the other side of the board. So if
Right.
we want to keep the option open to open that side of the board if dude goes that way.
Mm-hmm.
Right, I'm just
Yeah, I
flipping.
was thinking of maybe playing c5 myself even.
Yeah, at some later point. I'm just thinking about ways to harass. So this knight going to h4,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. So just the obvious question is if we can actually get any juice over there with the knight, or what is what is the best juice mechanism for us in
Right.
the position?
Yeah, how do we create a threat at some point, right? We have to have a plan to do something. And I didn't have anything super convincing, Jesse. I was going to play, knight g6 to h4, get white to play g3, bring the knight back to g6. Then white would play h4. Then I would trade the bishops on g4, bring my queen to f5, try and poke f2 eventually. That's what I envisioned.
Okay, let's just outline the potential ways to assault. You've got rook h6, g6. You've got this knight to h4 thing. You've got g5, h4, g4.
Mm-hmm. I considered g5 even one or two moves before this with the knight still in c6, I think. And I didn't like it.
And if I'm white, I think it's important to say, like, I have one dream of survival, and that is being able to somehow close off the queen side and bring my king to, let's say, it would be like c5, b4, knight b3, king d2. I think that's like the dream. And I'm still probably worse there, but I have survival chances.
Man, you've got bad memories of playing the French.
No, I have good memories of surviving. There's
Your
some,
evaluations are so negative for white here.
oh yeah, dude, this is bad news with the space advantage, and we have zero. No, look, let me just say, there's zero. How? Okay, let's put it this way. What's the narrative of the French? The narrative is that I get play either on the queen side or the d4 point, here d5, before I get mated. And here white has achieved the first main task, which is completely solidifying that point. So strategic goal number one done. Black's up in time. They're already moving their stuff to the king side. No, this is horrendous. Doesn't mean it's necessarily easy, but it's definitely like strategically lost.
Wow. Wow. I mean, even if there isn't tons of pressure on d5, there's an option where you sort of trade on d5 at some point, put pieces on the c file.
Now, one thing that is annoying me is there's a lot of these positions where I want to put the queen here, but then I have to deal with some kind of business. And then if I play a6, I'm encouraging the plan of the later c5, maybe after they trade off their bad bishop.
Yeah.
'Cause then-
Also, if Jesse ever analyzes the game, he'll say that you blundered a tempo with a6 and made it a weakness on the wrong side of the board.
Oh God, you played a6? Wow, that took away some of your ability to open, because the king's going to have to end there.
Yeah, I did eventually have to play a6. Or didn't have to. I did eventually play it way further in the game. And it was probably a mistake.
Okay, here I'm going to make a suggestion. Let's just try it out. So g5. You want to play bishop a3?
Sure. Yeah.
And I'll go knight g6.
Yeah. He'll probably trade and play knight c3, I would guess.
Okay, we'll put this guy here. And then we could do several things, but let's just put the king first. Yeah, 0 counterplay.
Yeah.
And
That's good, defending the rook. I like this.
And white has to worry about g4 at some point. Like, so if g4, h4, I have to think, can you defend against g3? And of course, I can always think about h4 first. Yeah.
Okay, so let's imagine that white plays queen c2 here. Maybe it should be queen c1 to a3, but that loses more time.
Okay.
Do you want to spend a move on rook c8?
What am I worried about?
I'm not worried, but trying to discourage queenside castling by playing c5 yourself.
Maybe. I was going to see if I could drum up some questions. So the good news is now if white castles and plays c5, we'll always have b6. Well, let's put the queen where, let's just put her in a natural square here. I don't know, there's other moves too, but this has nice scope, and maybe your c5 idea later.
Okay, so white plays, let's say, c5.
All I know is if c5 comes, then b6 is going to be a drain.
Four? b4 for white.
Okay.
B takes. Rook b1. Okay, what's going on?
I don't know how your king's going to get out.
Okay, let's say like rook b3. This is going very nicely. Okay, I
Maybe
like what you got.
maybe you could do other things besides c5, but it's hard for white. You like, I mean, maybe you castle log here and pray or something like that. Yeah.
Cool.
How about your
Your,
move?
your, your g5 worked out pretty nicely.
Yeah, I was just playing for the maximal space. Knight g6. Let's take a look. He does his move, and then queen d6 doesn't look right. Okay, so here's the thing I didn't understand about knight g6.
Yeah.
When we play knight h4, first of all, of course, he doesn't have to play g3, but if he does, it seems like I just got to go back. And then I'm not sure if I'm going to have enough forward momentum.
Yeah. Yeah, I hesitated about it as well.
So your move, queen d6, must have felt like that c5 would be an accomplishment for you.
Yeah. I was still slightly worrying about white trading on d5.
Yeah, no, he's not close.
Yeah. Probably I should have just played queen d7 here.
Or queen e7, or the frisky knight h4. Because when he plays, if he plays g3, he does have the long-term problem that he's probably going to have to play h4, and then we can stink either the bishop or the knight onto g4. So at least there'll be that, be a little something, something. But I'm not, yeah.
Oh yeah, I'd also kind of casually calculated the idea of queen d6, and I expected either rook a1 or c5, but I had this idea of going knight h4, g3, knight g2, king f1, knight takes e3.
Wait, say that again?
So queen d6,
Yeah,
play rook a1 for white for argument's sake.
sure.
Knight h4, g3, and then I sack it on e3.
Okay.
And that's devastation.
It looks
And
bad.
when I played queen d6, I hadn't realized that in this line with c5, the move b4 would defend e3 from the side. So it sort of stopped. So he was able to play the moves that he kind of wanted to while stopping my idea.
Got it. And then, and also this is a cool idea, but on knight h4, we should mention that he could throw in bishop f1, of course, or king f1. But yeah, okay. I get what you're saying. Okay, so basically you just didn't understand that this was really what he wanted.
And then, I would be happy to see either bishop f1 or king f1. So.
All right, now we're going to see to what extent white understood chess. Because, by the way, there's this book that I'm going to try to institute as part of the program called 40. I call it 45, but it's basically, it's called positional techniques or something like that. But it's 45 different positional techniques. And one of them is the king walk. And one thing I find fascinating about the king walk is I sometimes miss it. Like I'll be playing and it'll just be staring me in the face. And for whatever reason, I'm just missing the thing, So,
I was expecting it here.
Yeah, so I think white should strongly consider, organizing it. And the
I
easy
was
way.
expecting queen b3 followed by the king marching.
Okay, yeah. And of course, also knight b3, followed by a similar situation.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so queen c1, I don't understand. I don't
It's
understand
slightly
queen
weird.
c1.
I think part of his thinking was that if he goes b5 and I play this move queen a5, he wants to be able to play queen c3.
David, what are you doing with a6, Bose?
I think a6 may have been a mistake.
Well, let's say actually, so a good example of mistakes coming in pairs, right? So if we consider queen c7 as part of the flow of your intention with queen d6, then the next move is really a6. So mistakes
Yeah.
coming in pairs because you
I
didn't,
think
yeah.
I think after my opponent played c5, I realized, and I played queen d6 quickly. I think after my opponent played c5, I suddenly noticed that the follow-up b4 would both, cover the dark squares and deal with b6 and a5 moves and defend e3 against the knight h4 idea. And then I hesitated for a long time between retreating the queen to c7 or d7 and just kind of got confused and felt a little bit at a standstill. I lost confidence about getting enough counterplay with knight h4, g3, knight g6, etc. But I already looked at it a little bit more last night, and I do believe that black has enough. And I think the queen should have gone to d7, and I don't think I should have played a6. I think the queen should have just gone to d7, and I should have, just trusted and played knight h4, g3, knight g6, h4, bishop g4, bring the queen to f5. I think I should have just
So
believed
like
in it.
knight
Yeah,
h4. And then
knight
here,
h4.
okay, so obviously there's the tactical variation of g3, but also moves like bishop f1.
Right.
What's your intention on g3?
Knight back to g6.
Just back, right?
Yeah. I calculated knight g2, king f1, bishop h3, king g1, and I think it loses.
And then we had a similar position we talked about earlier. He
Yeah.
might live through this one.
And now I go bishop g4.
Yeah, but he might live through this one. Because your knight's a chump on g6, and there's no breakthroughs anymore. Let's see if we can find out something better. Because I still, even though c5 was a mistake, I still think you should be better here. And I mean, even after your a6 move, it's just that he has a plan to follow, and we've lost the initiative, it seems like. But let's try here. One thing is we might have to admit that our knight on g6 is misplaced, right?
Yeah. But Jesse, that last position that we had for a second, let me
Yeah.
just make one point about it. Like
Yeah.
during the game, part of the reason I floundered around and played these weird moves like queen c7 and a6 was because I didn't trust that position for black.
Right.
But with further reflection, I think that after that happens, black can castle kingside, and white cannot castle kingside because of knight takes h4 with destruction. And so I think black can now play, maybe like you would with like b6 and stuff. And any plan white does on the queen side is going to suck because black has 2 rooks and white has 1. So I think white's still a little bit stuck here because of the rook on h1. And I think black's position's fully sufficient. I mean, the knight on g6, yeah, it's bad at the moment, but overall, I think black's okay.
No, I know you're definitely okay. I'm just not. I just don't think you have anything.
Okay.
Like probably knight b3. And then probably king d2 next. Let's see if we can come up with something though for you, because your position should still be. You should still be. Even though queen d6 was a mistake, you should still have something.
Okay.
Okay,
And
let's try queen e6. Let me take up your arms for you. Queen e6.
okay,
So you play white b4, whatever you like.
nice. Queen e6. Okay. So yeah, I think white would play. I don't know. Sure, b4 or knight c3. I don't. Yeah, b4.
b4 makes some sense. All right, let's go. Let's admit our mistake.
Whoa. Where's it going?
Well, I'm playing g5, king f8, king g7.
Oh, okay.
And then the practical challenge for white is, do you want to? Okay, I feel like white has a couple options. If he goes for like b5 and any kind of bc, then his king isn't going to be safe on the queen side. He clearly can't castle short, and so, right, we're overprotecting our points so that any kind of f3 isn't going to get hopefully hurt.
Yeah.
And so, right, a difficult moment for white because b5 is both a positive and a negative because he doesn't have his coordination. So he doesn't want to open it until the coordination is there.
Right. I mean, I would just play knight c3.
Okay.
Throughout the game, I wanted him to move the knight off of b1.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, probably queen b2.
c2. Okay. Let's just connect my rooks. Could do other things too, but let's just connect them. Let me just say as an alternate variation is that h4 intending g4 also looks really good.
Mm-hmm.
In some ways that could be an easy I mean that's an easy one to do actually. That's a more Prussian, direct in your face kind of thing coming with g4 now.
Yeah, king d1. Take. HG. Knight takes. Rook f1.
This is starting to look really bad.
Takes. Rook takes. I was thinking I would go king c1 there.
I think you might have to because rook e3 is probably a threat. And then probably, I mean, rook h2 would be the default. I don't know. No, that's very pleasant.
Yeah. Yeah, it is pleasant.
Okay, but there's probably other ways of approaching it too, but I think that queen e6, let's see, queen c7, right, that wasn't it, right, a6. I don't understand. Queen c1's a weird move, man. This guy's like doing some timid h3, a3, Okay, so now you go all in.
I mean, he was pretty confident doing what he wanted to do.
And so what was your intention there on g3? You're just going to go back.
G6.
You're just going to go back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he should play G3, dog. I think he should play G3 and H4.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a little weird here. Because now, okay, let's just put it in context, right? The problem for white has been not just the king, but the connection of the rooks. And now after bishop f1, it's like, boss, how is the rook on h1 ever going to do something? Now he goes for it. I don't know about that. This is what I call opening the windows to the house before you've cleaned it up, you know? Before he's cleaned it up, Bobs. And now you went all in for him. You went all in. Boom. And now he accepts the challenge. I guess he has to.
I mean, black seems to be good at this point, I can tell you.
Seems like it, yeah.
Because this is kind of a position that we focused on in the postmortem. And, you know, I mean, G2's dangling and...
Yep.
Yeah, you can't really hold it, but now my knight can go to f3 instead of back to g6, so...
I'm just trying to imagine how you could try to survive this thing. All right, Mr. Pruess, it's not pretty, but I'm going to try to help this guy survive. So I'll take it. I know.
Oh, no.
And then
You can't.
I can't take it.
I don't think so. But you'll show us something.
I mean, I feel like I gotta try.
Okay.
92. I might play b6 first. Actually, you know what? I don't believe white will ever have anything, so let's b6 him.
Yeah. Are you a little worried about queen a5 otherwise?
I just have a long-term plan of survival. I don't know if it's going to work, but I want to close it down and hope that you can't get through.
Okay.
Right? Because you have the e4 square and sack ideas.
Right. Okay. So...
And my bishop on f1 is technically a good bishop. It's my rook on h1 who's the chump.
Sure. All right.
And my rook on a3, at least touching e3, gives me some comfort.
Okay, let's go. Well, the queen's hanging, Laerty. Queen's hanging, much as we would love to let loose.
I didn't know he was Laerty.
Queen e7, I guess.
All right, let's try queen e7. I'm going to put my knight on the chump square and see what happens.
Lee art.
Well, this might be a little challenging to win.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely white should try to survive this way. Then the general intention is just something like here, walk it over. If anything comes, I want to trade knights if I can.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. You may have some chance to run over that way.
And even on this move, you kind of have to make, you have to, it's a little bit annoying that I'm attacking your pawn.
I mean, I could play bishop e4.
You could, it's just not the happiest, right? Because you want this tactical shoddy shots and stuff, and now I have time to do my thing. And then the plan, right, is here, here, bishop d3. And you want, I think you want to be looking at that bad boy too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
KGB is on my ass with positions like this. I'll be like, it looks so good. And be like, you must show me concretely what you aim to do.
Oh, Jesse, I got something.
What do you got, boss?
Rook takes g3.
Oh, I missed that one. Okay, well, I got to be a little careful then. So bishop e4 has a threat. Good.
It's a positional threat, right? I didn't win any material, but it opens up the part that I want open.
Oh, good. That's important to have a threat. Okay. All right, let's stop the threat.
h4. Knight h7. I guess you could just trade on e4 there, huh?
Maybe I can just take on e4 too, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, here I would now get f5, and I would be very happy. But if you take on e4 last move, I wouldn't be happy.
You might be right about that f5, actually. Yeah. Also, I mean, I'm kind of trusting you that that your knight's amazing. I'm not sure how amazing it actually is.
Oh, that is what happened in the game. It was really amazing.
Well, you got a better version, right? Like, say here. Anyways, I don't, maybe you shouldn't take, but that also this position I'm not sure about.
Okay.
Well, let's look at the game. So king d1, h4. He does b6 you.
The reason he b6 me here, Jesse, is that if he plays g4 instead, I have bishop takes g4, h takes g4, knight takes g4.
Let's see.
And even if king c2, knight f2, the rook's trapped on h1.
Okay. Now, to be fair, I I think b6 is what he should be doing. Maybe after the game he was like, oh, I wish I didn't have to play b6. Or maybe you also thought it was a bad thing for him to do b6. I don't know.
Yeah, he didn't really want to play b6 because then he thought he has nothing left to do.
Yeah. Well, that's what he needs to admit to himself. So now, if he was going to take on f3, it seems like, boss, you should have done it earlier.
Yeah, he hadn't seen that I had h4 and bishop takes g4. So when he played king d1, he thought he was avoiding the trade on f3. Then he had to do it anyway. And now it's pretty overwhelming, this position for black, I believe.
Okay. Let's just see why. So castles. And let me make a new move, bishop b3.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it is terrible. I don't know.
Yeah, now we're kind of looking at probably f5 in that position as well.
I assume you want rook g2.
Yeah.
I'll take.
Mm-hmm. Pawn takes. And yeah, white's position is difficult, right?
I think. I mean, it's a little concrete, right?
I'm not sure what white can do. It seems like they're mostly trapped.
So you have to play. Your next move is rook f8.
D5, but
Rook d5. Okay, one of those moves, yeah. I'm just looking that it's a bummer that you have to babysit the
e4 pawn.
the e4 pawn.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's a little unpleasant. So, still, the knight's got to go, boss. The knight's got to go. You can't be leaving that thing around. He goes rook a2, rook f8. You could probably take your time with this, sure. He's just sitting, dude. He's just sitting. What's this guy doing? Okay, explain king b8 to me. I don't get it. Oh, you want to play fg? I got it. Okay.
Yeah.
He's just sitting. He thinks time is
He's-
free.
No, he just didn't know what to do. He just like drifted here.
And so your big question was, well, you're definitely winning now, boss.
I know.
You were saying at the beginning, like you were uncertain about some questions.
I had a sloppy moment here because, okay, if you go back to before I take on g4, I had about 13 minutes on the clock.
Okay.
And before taking on g4, I calculated, this whole sequence, bishop h3, rook g2. I expected queen f1 there. And I have two options in that position. I have knight g3 and queen g5. And I decided to play knight g3, and I went for that whole position. But I wasn't completely sure how to win it. And I went for it kind of quickly. I used maybe 2 minutes out of my 13 minutes. And then I got to that position and spent 10 minutes and didn't know how to win it. So I felt like I used the time weirdly there. And black has a major alternative here, which is to play f4. You can play f4 and then rook e6, knight g5.
Okay, but wait. wait, but this is what I don't understand. Like, okay, maybe rook g2 doesn't work, but aren't you just winning completely after like either rook g5 or rook g6? On one of those
Yeah,
moves?
I am. It's a choice between, do I want to win that pawn, or do I want to play f4 and leave the bishop dead on f1, right?
I mean, I like winning the pawn because now the force count on the king side is just overwhelming, and dude isn't doing anything. Right? He's not doing squat. And you can eventually organize g5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, so, I mean, for sure take on g4.
Okay.
Now, rook g2, if it works, of course, you should do it. But was there, okay, so the question you had was, because you went full throttle with knight g3, and
Yeah.
you were like, can I win that one?
Like I assume it's winning, but I hadn't calculated how to win it, right? And then I struggled to win this position.
Okay.
Because white, wants to go bishop h3, rook g1, and then just blockade.
Well, okay, let's say rook f5. I mean, what if you play g5? We're assuming bishop h3.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I wanted to go rook g8 here.
Just thinking about some stuff. Okay, so rook g8. Let's assume rook g1. And then let's assume queen e4.
Yeah. Rook g4.
But now I'm in, right? I'm into town.
Queen d3, king b2. Oh, I missed queen d1 to e1.
Or
I don't know if that does anything, but
well, queen d1 you're threatening queen h1, boss.
oh my goodness.
But
I didn't see that.
yeah, and then I think not only that, but I think you're like gonna win the a pawn, and then that's another little asset. That's another little friend in our pocket once we win the a pawn.
Well, queen h1's about to trap this bishop.
I know he's in deep shit, man.
Jeez.
But I mean, don't be too hard on yourself because you had the intuition that it should be winning, and maybe rook f5 might also win. It's the fancy way, though, isn't it? that's the fancy way to try to win it that way. Okay, what the intention of rook f5, David, is what is it that you're doing?
If the bishop ever goes to h3 to set up the blockade, I can play rook g5. That's what happens in the game.
Okay, it's probably also winning. I'm not sure I understand his move.
Oh, his move makes sense. He's preparing to get the rook from c2 to connect to the king side.
Okay, so there's the rook g5 that you wanted. And then he goes rook h2, which I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, the idea with rook h5, Jesse, was that I was hopefully threatening the move h3. And that's what forced the bishop to block the rook. Because I can never play rook g5 if he has rook takes h4 with back rank mate threats.
Okay, let me show
So
you the
then
position I would be a little nervous here.
that's
So
why what I'm doing is so fancy.
how do you win this one? Because now I don't see how you
I played
invade.
queen g6 in response to that.
Okay, good. So queen g6, is he going to be in Zugzwang or something? Maybe he is. Maybe he is in Zugzwang. So, well, I don't know. Let's say he goes back and forth
Where?
to f1 h3.
Okay. Can't I even just queen g2 him?
Maybe, dog, maybe. That's a fancy move.
Oh no, because there's rook h4.
There you go. Nice.
Okay, so let's bring the king over to the king side. I mean, especially
Yeah.
if you're moving back and forth. I'll bring
So
my king.
actually here then I've got a good idea. I'll play king e1. That'll be my waiting move. And only when you're touching me on the diagonal will I play king d2. Because, right, I think you do want king c8, d8.
Yeah, but now I can play queen g2 because if you go rook h4, I can queen with check.
Okay, good move, yeah. That's a good one. Yeah. Jerk face. Good. Okay. So, yeah, that was the one I was a little concerned about with this thing here.
Yeah. But there's another thing about that, Jesse, is like black has one other way to make progress in that position, which is at some point to play queen g6. And then penetrate, c2 or b1 with the queen. So
Yeah, that should be winning too.
yeah.
Good. Oh, this is painful. That looks good. And now there's no way to prevent the queen invading either.
Yeah.
That wasn't it. Cool. That was good, dude.
Yeah. Let's go to this position. Sorry, I know I'm dwelling on what you don't think matters, but
No, that's
go to
fine.
the position after rook g2.
Okay, what move number are we talking about?
31. Rook g2, queen f1.
G2, queen f1.
Yeah. Okay, so the other move I can play there after queen f1 is queen g5. I'm not sure why I didn't play that move.
I mean, well, because you decided that your move was winning with knight d3, and you got 15 minutes left on the clock.
But I could have used some of my minutes to decide which way I was going to win. The idea here, I'm a little bit frozen, right? So the only idea is rook f6, rook g6.
No, you have rook takes f2
and then
as
rook
first
g1.
of all.
There's rook f2, but I assume white's going to move the king to b2 or b1 on this move.
Okay.
Maybe I could just sack the rook for a mating attack even there. But okay, let's say king b1. Then the idea is rook f6, rook g6.
I like what
winning?
you
Should I
did,
play
boss.
that?
I mean, that's winning, dude, but what you did was fine. I like. Yeah, well, you're right. Of course, that's got to be winning too, but yeah, that's also fine. Rook f6, rook g6, and the bare minimum you have rook g1, trading it all off.
Yeah. So I should have done that, because that I know how to win.
You knew how to win that one too that you had, dog.
Oh man, I struggled. I thought for 10 minutes and I wasn't sure I could see it.
Cool, man. Well, I should be going.
Okay.
I would say, dude, for sure you should go over this with the real board and spend some good time with it. Maybe annotate it up.
Yeah.
Some important.
Jesse, can you send me that PGN?
Yeah,
I'm
or you
only
can
looking.
copy it too. It's
I can't on my, even though I made this classroom and invited you, I see nothing in the classroom.
see.
No
Do you hit the
moves,
Do you hit
nothing.
the download button? Do you see the download button?
Yeah, it
You,
shows me an empty PGN, not a single move.
okay, I'll copy and paste this for you, boss. I copy and paste for you.
Thank you.
Let me just.
It just went completely. I don't know what's going on.
Sometimes, dude. Yeah. Sometimes. Oh man, I can't find. Are you deep Pruess on?
Oh, I got it. I got it.
Okay, good.
Thank you. Does it have all your notes? Let me see.
You should have most of it.
Yeah, I think it's got everything. Okay.
Well, congratulations, dude. That was cool that you won your first game in a while, the first league.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
So,
Just
are
to
you
move.
first board, dude? Is that what it is, or what?
I'm second board for my team.
Okay. Who's the what's the how strong is the first board?
I think he's an IM with a rating closer to 2400.
Okay. Cool, dude. Like a younger guy. Are you the old man of the team, boss, or is it an old man's team?
I think the average age on the team is probably like 34, 35, something like that.
Okay.
So I'm not the oldest, but I'm a little bit old.
Yeah. Nice, dude. No, I think that's great. That's a bummer you have to travel so far.
Yeah.
Question. I have to leave, but do you want to keep streaming or something?
I can't. I don't have the internet connection here to host it solo.
Oh, that's a bummer. That your house or that's the house
Yeah.
that you're in? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm at my house right now.
All right, cool guys. That's a great day. I did a lot of streaming today, man. Holy moly.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right,
Good
my
work,
man.
Jesse.
I'm gonna stop. Oh wait. Who should I rate? Tell me who I should rate.
Let's see.
Chess Dogs.
You could raid Thinker Teacher.
Raid.
Yeah, that looks right.
You
Thinker
know that
Teacher.
guy? All right, my friends. This is where David gives the spiel. He says, "Hey." He says, "Hey, have you checked out the Dojo Training Program? Get on it." All right, and
I'm updating my activity.
nice, dude. All right, guys. See you later. See you soon. All right, boss. That was fun. I'll talk to you soon.